You're listening to BL in the Air. My name is Chy.
And I'm Alex.
And today we're going to be talking about one of my favorite BLs of all time. We're going to talk about A Tale of a Thousand Stars, which we're both really excited to talk about. But first of all, Alex, what's in the air with you?
So I started watching my first Taiwanese BL. It's called Exclusive Love. It's still airing, so I've only seen about half of the show so far. I I'm not super into it, I'll admit. But it's been fine. It's called Exclusive Love. I don't know why it's called that, to be perfectly honest. But it's this kid that's basically been bullied into becoming a funeral director by his like older brother. He has to like take over the business for whatever reason. And so yeah, he like basically gets kidnapped by his brother and thrown into like this house with this other guy who is like gonna train him to be like a funeral director. Like a mortician or something.
That's bizarre. Okay.
It's I don't get it. Like he has to drop all of his hobbies and he has to go jog in the morning and do all these exercises and he has to eat all this red meat, whatever, to like get used to being around blood.
To be a funeral director?
Yeah, it's crazy.
That sounds, I didn't know you needed to like intensively train physically for that.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you need some arm strength to like move the bodies around or whatever. I don't know. I don't know anything about,
That's fair.
funerals and stuff like that, but it still feels very excessive to be like you basically can't have any interest besides training for this because you've got a crash course and be perfect at it in 3 months.
Yeah. Okay.
And
Who's the love interest? One of the bodies?
That would probably be more interesting. It's the guy. It's the guy training him.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Who's not the brother? It's another guy.
Yeah. No, the brother, I don't know what the brother's doing. The brother was like, you're going to do this? Goodbye.
I just feel like Taiwanese BLs always have some like stepbrother thing going on.
Oh,
so
no.
that you can never be too sure.
Yeah, we haven't hit that. It's
okay.
The random guy. Who apparently has like been a fan of this kid because this kid like his hobby before this was being like a street performer basically, like he wants to be a musician and so he just goes and plays, and so the training guy like apparently would like watch him perform on the street occasionally, and also his little brother's a huge fan.
Okay.
Yeah,
I don't know how this show could be not interesting. It sounds insane, but
it's very like slow. Like the plot itself is kind of crazy because it doesn't make any sense because there's like a side plot with like the secondary couple where they're like best friends and one of them's in love with the other one, and the one that's not in love is actually in love but he won't admit it, and so instead he keeps going on these blind dates his parents set up and he's finally decided on a girl.
That's always great.
Right, and I mean, she's cool, I'll admit, because she showed up on like a motorcycle and basically was like, we're going to go do this thing now. And he like, here, put your helmet on. We're going to go on our date. And he was like, I don't know what's happening, but okay. And then it ends up, she's like this like incredible musician. Like an orchestral thing. I don't remember, like cello or something like that. And so they rode the motorcycle over to that event. And so she could perform and he watch.
Oh, she's gonna have her heart broken.
Right? I'm like, okay, she's feisty and great. What are we doing? I'll say the one thing that's thrown me off the most is everybody's in this last episode they were in like a hotel or something for some reason, and so the two friends, the two best friends, whatever, are sharing a room, and then the two leads are sharing a room, and they're hanging out in the bathtub together, which is already a thing. Both sets of couples are in the bathtub together. And
wait, 4 people in the bathtub?
No, in their rooms. So it's 2 and 2.
Okay. I was like, how big is this bathtub?
Yeah. Honestly, for 2 people, still not that big. Because like one of them ends up sitting like on the edge and the other one's just actually in it. But they're like in their towels. So they have white towels wrapped around them. I'm assuming it's so they could film the scene. But it's like sitting in the water with a towel wrapped around you.
Yeah.
And I was like, do people do that?
Like, I don't know. I see it in shows sometimes, and I always assume it's for like filming reasons.
Yeah, that's
But I
my
always think about
assumption.
how like uncomfortable that would be. Like I hate having like wet clothes touching me.
Yeah, I don't like wet clothes, but I hate wet towels more.
Yeah, that's true.
Wet towels just feel so gross to me.
Yeah. Well, they're just like heavy and they're like they soak up like they're like a sponge.
Yeah.
Ugh.
So, but yeah, that's what I've been watching. What's in the air with you?
So I'm behind in all my shows, and that's because I've only been watching RuPaul's Drag Race.
Oh,
Like
nice.
frantically. I finally so I got they have a couple seasons spread out on different platforms and I've watched all those seasons, but all of the seasons are on Paramount Plus,
Okay.
which I didn't have. But I'm a big fan of Yellow Jackets, which has the new season airing right now and it's on Paramount Plus. So I got it and so it's great cuz I also have all like the Drag Race episodes.
What is Yellow
So,
Jackets?
oh, that's the show about the like girls soccer team that there's a plane crash and now they're trying to survive in the wilderness.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's so good. I highly recommend. The third season is airing right now. But I love that show. It's like Lord of the Flies with women
We would last
and
longer
they're
than the
like
guys did.
yeah, there's a lot of cannibalism,
Oh
so
no.
it gets they're they're stuck out there a long time and also there's like possible supernatural element that you're not sure if it is supernatural or if the girls are just going crazy because they've been there for like a year and a half. But
As long as they don't pull a
yeah,
Lost.
yeah, it's we'll see. I don't even think this is the last season. I think
Hmm.
they're supposed to have like five or something. So
Well, that's
yeah,
cool. Yeah,
but yeah, so so it's that in a drag race. So, they're both gay, so they count. You know.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think RuPaul either recently came through my town for some sort of show or is coming.
Oh,
There's something.
wait,
I
you
saw it on the
gonna
calendar. No, I don't have any money.
go? That's fair. Have you watched any seasons of Drag Race?
No. I've seen
Oh,
clips,
you
but
should.
the because it's a fashion show, right? Ish,
It's
sort
a
of. Yeah.
mix.
I
Every episode does have like a runway, but like every episode there's like a big challenge, and sometimes it's like acting, sometimes it's comedy,
okay.
sometimes it's fashion, sometimes it's just like sewing or it's all different kind of.
The only thing I ever knew was the runway side of it.
Yeah, it's fun. I mean, it's more about the like the drag queens, like the people themselves, because
Mm.
there's some really like cool people.
Yeah,
But
I'll
yeah,
have to check it out.
you should. It's I mean, if you like any sort of like competition variety show, it's great. Like
Mm-hmm.
you get so invested in it, and I'm right now I'm watching All Stars season 3. So like they have seasons where they have like all-star seasons where they take queens who didn't win but who like did really well or who are like fan favorites that they want to see again and they have them all compete.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah. There's so many seasons now. I'm like I'm very behind. So I'm kind of just like working my way through all of them.
Yeah, it's been on a really long time.
It has been. And now there's like Drag Race Thailand, Drag Race UK, Drag Race, I think Brazil. They have it for like every country now. So
That's fun.
yeah, I don't think I'll run out for a while. But yeah, that's what I've been doing instead of catching up on any of my other shows or starting any other new ones.
It happens. I didn't get to watch too much last week either, so.
Yeah. It's great because it's like I can kind of I've been playing Hello Kitty Island Adventure, of course, on my Switch. So it's a good show where I can like play the game and like watch the show at the same time because
Hmm.
like it's not like I have to look up every second to read subtitles like I normally do. So
Yeah, I'm slowly working on the Thai because I want to get to the point where I don't have to read subtitles. But
oh yeah, that would be nice.
yeah,
I haven't gotten anywhere with that.
I have you ever used Hello Talk?
I haven't, but I've heard about it.
Yeah, so one, it's cringe because the guys are on there to date foreign girls. Um,
Yeah.
like,
Oh, you know what? I think I have used it before when I was in Korea.
Yeah, so in Korea, it's pushed as a dating app, apparently,
Yeah,
what I've
that's
been
what I
told.
realized, which is why I deleted it. But
Yeah.
yeah.
I I almost became a statistic once. It was really funny. Like right at the beginning of lockdown, I honestly have had good conversations on there with people about like language exchange and stuff like that. So that's why I stay on it because you can usually weed through the guys real quick. Um,
Yeah.
but there's one guy who was actually kind of local to me at the time. I wasn't living
Uh-huh.
where I am now, but he was kind of local to me, like a few hours away. And we were both looking to move to the same area. And we ended up talking on the phone until like 4 o'clock in the morning. And then he never
Oh.
talked to me again. So I don't know what
Oh.
happened.
I thought you were gonna say something like he was like scary or creepy or something, but
No, we're still friends on
that's a
Kakao Talk.
better
So I don't. I'm
uh
scared I'm gonna accidentally call him one day. Um,
Oh no. Well, you can
but
catch up, I guess.
but last week I switched it from language learning with South Korea to language learning with Thailand, and I've gotten like all these Thai people are the friendliest people I've ever interacted with.
Yeah.
Like it is insane how friendly they are. I love it so much because everyone's all
Okay.
like friendly and like, what kind of help do you need and whatever. And I'm like, right now I'm just here looking at photos because one of them was like, how's your Thai going? And I'm like, Yeah, about that." I'm like, your TV shows have taught me how to cuss, and that's it. Um,
Yeah. I know I feel like I have to tackle the like script first,
hmm
and I feel like that's the most intimidating part.
yeah.
All right. Well, should we talk about our Tale of a Thousand Stars?
Yes, I love this show so much.
Me too. I'm so excited to talk about it. Well, this show aired in 2021 is when it started airing. So it's considered like older for BL. I know that was only a couple years ago, but this I think was one of the very first like this was like the beginning of like the floodgates opening, I think.
hmm
I feel like this show and like Bad Buddy kind of like marked the start of like a new era in BL in terms of like just like popularity and also like what they're able to do in terms of like storytelling and acting and directing and all that kind of things.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it was a different era, but
One of the things I've noticed, so GMMTV's Love Out Loud is coming up, right? And so they've announced the ships for that now, and I think it's like 12 different ships going to that. But 2021, I think it was like maybe 4 or 5. So
yeah,
so
because
like
before 2021, there were only a couple BL shows in general, you know?
yeah, I don't even think they did Love Out Loud before 2021.
Yeah,
So
I mean, they had like, I mean, GMMTV had like Kristen Singto, and I like
the
that was
Off Gun maybe.
they had
Yeah.
Off Gun, who I think they had like one show at that point, like
Yeah.
um
So
yeah, not that many. So
yeah, so it's one of those just from watching like the posters from that one change over time kind of I think is a tell at least through GMM on how things have
mhm.
really exploded and how different it is now.
Yeah. Yeah, we can I guess this is one of the shows to thank because I do think the show is very popular and very well like reviewed for fans. And it was definitely like when I was starting to watch like some of the like the newer Thai BLs, like this one was always recommended. So this was like one of the first ones I watched when I was like getting back into it after taking a break for a couple years. So
I think this one's going to hold up for a really long time, to be honest.
I was also kind of wondering because I watched it like the first time I watched it, and then I haven't rewatched it until now. Um, and it held up so
hmm
well. Like it was almost like better the second time watching it, I think. Which I was very like pleasantly surprised, you know. Because
hmm
sometimes you watch like the older BLs and it's like oh my god, like the sponsorships are kind of annoying, or they have kind of like tropes that maybe aren't as like PC anymore. But this show is really good with. I think it'll hold up for a really long time.
Yeah, I think it does tropes well because I really can't think of anything that it did that was like cringe as far as that goes. I will say
No.
there was product placement.
There was product placement. It wasn't as bad as like in your face, I think, as other product
No.
placements, at least.
No, it
There was
played
no
into the
printer
show.
ad in the middle of the jungle, so
Yeah, it definitely fit for what was happening, but it was one of those of like, I know why this is here.
yeah. And dare I say, I honestly, I think this is the best Thai BL. I genuinely, after rewatching it, I kind of think it is.
I So it's up there for me for sure, but
Uh huh.
I don't know. And my stand-in and Jack and Joker,
Mm.
I still put those above this. But that's also apples and oranges for me, you know?
Yeah. I would say like my favorite is probably like Only Friends and My
Hmm.
Stand-In still, and this one. But I do think this one is better.
I get what you're saying, and
L-
I think
Just
I'm
like
too biased to give an answer.
well-rounded.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's hard. I mean, it's hard to pick, but I was rewatching this show. I was completely blown away. But um let's get into the summary. So basically, the show is about our main character named Tien, who receives a heart transplant from a volunteer teacher, um, who dies tragically in an accident, but luckily he gets her heart. So he then has kind of like a second chance at life where he kind of discovers like things about her and her profession as a volunteer teacher. So he goes and kind of like is kind of like a conduit to help her finish like her goals, and also to like to give back to her for what she gave to him, but also like um this is a bad summary. I should have just read it, but but one of her wishes is to count 1,000 stars with the forest chief Pupa, who becomes the love interest of the show. So it's kind of a intricate plot, but I think it's a really like compelling premise. It's definitely a lot more like serious than I think some other like BLs are, at
Yeah.
least.
Yeah, it's
Like it's
definitely.
not like comedy or anything. It's like drama.
Hmm. Quite the opposite from the show that's currently airing with EarthMix.
It is. Yeah, currently they're doing Osan's Love, which is I feel like is the first time they've done like a comedy.
Hmm.
So yeah,
Everything's
it's
been
kind of
heartbreak for
funny.
Earth.
Yeah. Yeah, so but this is okay, so the cast, we have Mix playing Tien, the main character. This is Mix's first show he's ever done.
Which is insane. Like his acting is incredible.
I had no idea he like I knew this was his first show he did like for BL, but I didn't realize that he had like he didn't do like dramas before this. Like it's crazy for a rookie.
Hmm.
Like I
Yeah.
watched like the behind the scenes and it seemed like he was having like a rough go of it throughout recording. Just like
Oh.
very yeah, just like emotionally and stuff cuz it's a very heavy concept and stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was interesting to see like him navigate that, but
That's crazy.
yeah, he's the star. He really makes the show phenomenal. Um,
Hmm.
and then we have Earth, who plays Chief Pupa, who is our love interest.
He looks so good in uniform.
I know.
Like,
He does.
my God.
I know. When the Osan's Love episode from last, not today, but from last week, he like puts on the like army jacket
Hmm.
again for something, and I'm like, oh my god, it's Poopa's back. But it's like a completely different character.
Yeah. Was this the start of him being called old constantly? Um,
I feel like it must be.
because they like Earth and Mix are like close to the same age, aren't they? Like the same year.
I would think so.
Something.
I think they're pretty close in
They're
age.
yeah, they're pretty close. And in this, like Mix's character is like in college.
Mm-hmm.
In Earth, they're like, yeah, you're nearly 30. I'm like, guys,
They're obsessed with making Earth way older than he actually is.
right? Which like 30 isn't even old, but like they keep aging him up because like Moonlight Chicken, they do the same thing, right? Where it's like you're old
Oh
and
my god.
like
Midnight Chicken, they're like, he's 40. And I'm like, that man is not 40, but
No, he's like 25
good
when that
try.
was filmed. Um,
Yeah, it's honestly ridiculous, but that this is the start of that for sure.
yeah, I'm glad in Osan's Love that he's like age accurate.
Yeah, I agree. It's nice to see for once.
Yeah.
And then we have I or A, I'm not sure how to say her name, but she plays Torfun, who is the woman who is killed and she's the heart donor.
Hmm. I don't
And
know
we
anything
have
about her.
yeah, I've seen a couple shows she's been in. She was in the Be My Favorite show. I was
I,
talking about a little earlier, but
hmm.
um she was in that. I've seen her in a couple things, but this I will always think of her as Torfun though. Like she is like the
Hmm.
heart of the show, like literally and figuratively. Um
Yes.
like I think yeah, she adds so much life to the show. So I always like anytime I see her in any other show, this is the character I think back to.
Hmm.
We have Naman, who plays Moore, who's the doctor,
Hmm.
who isn't like the biggest role, but we'll bring him up. So that's who he is. We have Cow Tongue, who plays Long Tae,
That's my
which is
guy.
crazy. I know. I didn't even know like because I watched this first and then I watched like I think Only Friends next, and
Oh
then like
wow.
the Eclipse and stuff, and I never put it together that it was the same person from this show because he looks so different.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
He does. He looks so baby in the show, even though this and like the Eclipse only came out the next year. But
Yeah.
I mean, he was baby in that too, right? Um,
Yeah. Yeah, he looks so baby here.
hmm.
And then we have White, who plays Tull, who is Tien's friend. So he'll come up a couple of times.
Hmm.
But yeah, that's our main cast of actors. Let's get into episode 1.
Hmm.
By the way, we are going to spoil this entire show, so if you care about that,
Go watch
go
it
watch
first,
the
come
show.
back.
Yeah, go watch it, come back. But all right, let's get into it. So, in episode 1, this is kind of setting the scene for the 3 main characters that we're going to be following. So we see Tien, he's like gambling high amounts of money in the city. Very much like rich kid activity, like, high society, whatever. And they are kind of like raising the stakes between Tien and his friends versus another group. And eventually, they kind of decide like to up the stakes through like street racing. So I guess the casino wasn't good enough. They were like, we're gonna race each other, and whoever wins gets the car, because they're like rich, and so they don't like care about money and shit.
Yeah.
And of course, before Tien can join, I don't know if he goes into cardiac arrest, but he like you see him, he's having like a heart issue, and he kind of like falls down,
Mm.
and so we cut there. So that's what Tien's doing. Then we see Pupa, who's a forest ranger who's in the forest, and he's involved in like a shootout with an armed group that's come from like across the border, because he lives in like one of the northern borders of Thailand. So there's a lot of like dangerous activity. And Torfun, she is on the bus right now. She's on her way home from where she lives in the north, and she receives a call from a relative who is telling her, I guess Torfin's like headed back home, but her relative is like, you need to stop, you need to come home and give me money. You're ungrateful and a terrible relative, whatever. Just being really mean. And so Torfun like gets off the bus and she has her journal in her hands and she drops like a photograph of Pupa onto the street. She reaches down to get the photograph and she's hit by a car and killed. And her journal lays in the street and it's titled A Tale of a Thousand Stars.
So bad for her because like her family sucks and then she gets hit by a car.
I know.
Like great.
I know. I do. I feel awful for her. I feel a little better knowing that like the rest of the show, Tien kind of tries to make everything up to her, but you know.
Yeah, and it's kind of clear that she had some found family, you know.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I think this is such a good opening though. It
hmm
like we get glimpses into like our three main characters and like their personalities and stuff, and then we just go right into it. And I'm like, oh, that's such a it's like such a gripping intro.
hmm
So Tien gets a heart plant from Torfin. He doesn't know who it's from yet, but that's what happens. Um we learn that his dad's connections help him jump the queue because his dad was the former Secretary of Natural Resources. So, because of his money and power and stuff, Tien was able to jump the queue for organ donation, which he doesn't know yet, but at least he's able to get a heart and survive.
hmm
But like while he's unconscious, he like briefly meets like Torfin. Like they see each other in kind of the, I don't know, purgatory or something, like the afterlife.
the first time watching, I thought we were gonna have some weird like supernatural theme to go through the rest of the show, but it's kind of the
Mhm.
only time that happens.
Yeah, right. Yeah, there is the other like the next EarthMix show. I always forget what the name is, but there's like a body switch component,
Okay,
and so it's kind of reminding me. I was like, wow, maybe they got the idea for that show from this.
I do not remember that at all.
Yeah.
Have I watched that?
I don't think so. I think it's like
Mhm.
Cupid's Last Wish or something it's called.
Oh yeah, no, I have not watched that one.
Yeah. Yeah, there's some little Mix and Jan, they have a little body switch moment. But
Yeah, I wasn't sure if Earth and Mix end up together, and I think that's why I haven't watched it.
oh yeah.
I was
I
like,
mean it's good. Mix's character is like kind of terrible in that show, so I kind of didn't like it because I was like, man, this guy fucking sucks. Like,
oh,
but it's like, it's all right.
yeah.
But anyway, um, so Torfin has a funeral. Pupa's there. He really blames himself for not driving her. Um, and he says like he'll never forgive the person that killed her. Foreshadowing. And months later, Tien, he's slowly recovering from his transplant surgery. And he meets up with his friends for the first time in a long time. And he, like, kind of complains that, like, oh, my parents are being, like, really overprotective. They don't let me leave the house. They even, like, sold my car. So I, like, can't really go anywhere, which sucks because my car was really nice and fancy. Um, and his friends kind of look at yeah, they kind of look at each other, but they don't say anything.
Yeah, I mean, what do you say to that?
Yeah. And Tian goes home, and like, of course, like his mother is like super, just like smothering him with overprotectiveness. Just like, where have you been? What have you been doing? Like, have you been drinking? And he's like, hasn't been, but like, he's just so like I understand the feeling of like on both sides where he is a young adult and he still wants to be a young adult, but of course he just had like a heart transplant, so his mom is extremely worried about him leaving the house.
Yeah, I don't know that my mom would let me out of her sight for like years if I got a heart transplant.
No. Yeah. Yeah, no, I totally get both sides of this.
For sure.
Um and Tien very desperately wants to know who donated the heart because he keeps seeing images of like Torfun like here and there,
Mm-hmm.
and so he really wants to know who it is because he thinks it's that person, um, and his like parents won't tell him, so he sneaks into his father's office and like finds the paperwork and finds her name, so he gets that information.
Good for him.
Yeah, I know. He's very like driven and like determined, which I feel like is something that he is a trait he like didn't have before all of this. So it's
Hmm.
kind of the start of him being a real go-getter.
Yeah, I think everything that kind of happens after this is why I would absolutely never want to know whose organs I have if I did a transplant. Because I
Yeah,
would be like, okay, how did they die? What happened? Who were they? What kind of person? Like, I would spiral.
I know. Yeah, I think oh god, I don't know if I would want to know.
I don't want to know. And
I
then
feel like I yeah, I don't know. I feel like I would want to know out of curiosity, but like I would feel so bad for like their family and
hmm
stuff. Like
yeah, don't tell me.
I feel like you would feel like survivor's guilt,
For sure.
you know.
And
So
I'm registered as an organ donor, and I'm like, enjoy
mm,
it. If I don't need it anymore,
yeah,
enjoy it.
yeah, exactly. um, so he finds Torfin's name and he goes to visit her aunt, who is like the relative she's talking to, and like she sucks again.
Yeah.
She was just like complaining, like, "Oh, I'm just stuck with her stuff," and it's like 3 boxes. So,
Yeah.
um,
And didn't she accuse him of being like another boyfriend or whatever? And
yep, yeah, I think that's what he like. She's like, "Oh, are you like one of her other boyfriends?" He's just like, "Yeah, that's why I'm here. I left my stuff here. I need to get it back." So that's like his cover, but
yeah.
like at this point though, he doesn't really know like what he's looking for. He just like wants more information on like her as a person.
hmm
So he's kind of just aimlessly like going through things, but he while doing this he finds the journal that she left, which is kind of the catalyst of this whole show. So at a fancy business like party, um Tien's there with his parents, and this is where he finds out about his father paying extra for something about the surgery. Um which think I don't I don't remember if this is when he realized that his dad basically like bought him his spot in like the organ donation line, but
Yeah, I don't remember either.
yeah,
Whatever it
it's
was really bad because he spiraled a little bit.
yeah. This Tien's like gaining class consciousness slowly.
Good for him.
Uh, yeah, cuz I think like the combination of this and also like no one caring for Torfun, it's like it's a little much about to him because they like him and his family, they have like all this money and it gives them all these connections and stuff, but
hmm
like it doesn't give them the ability to like care about this woman that died and like gave him this heart and stuff, and I think that really sits that doesn't sit well with him at all, like
Yeah,
yeah,
it wouldn't sit well with
he's
me either.
no, yeah, like he just feels like so like bad about it and just like why do we have all this money and stuff if we're not going to use it for anything like good. you know.
Yeah.
um and so he starts to read Torfin's journal about her life as a teacher, and how it's a happiness and fulfillment that no money can buy. So he decides to run away to volunteer teach in Torfin's place at the same village that she taught at. Um, so he kind of runs away in the middle of the night, and he's picked up by Yad, who is a reoccurring character. He's like the repairman in the village. and he kind of learns it's like a little dangerous on the border. So the village is called Papandao. They have forest rangers to kind of monitor the place, like instead of the military. Um, so he
Crazy.
kind of learns, yeah, right. He's kind of learning, like, this is very new for him, you know, it's like up in the mountains, it's like a new dialect and stuff. So it's this very stark contrast to his old life. Um, Especially when their car breaks down and they have to walk the rest of the way. It just seems pretty far. So they get,
Hot.
yeah, oh my god, yes. Um and also he just had a heart transplant recently. So when they get to like his house that he'll be staying in at, he sees Poopa for the first time, the chief, and then he like immediately like faints into his arms. What a meet
First
cute.
sight.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he's definitely fainting because of his heart problem, but
Yeah.
maybe it's because of love at first sight.
I would also probably faint at that point between the heat and how attractive Earth looks in uniform.
Yeah. Catch me. So, episode 2 starts, and Poopa's just immediately annoyed by Tien's presence. Like, he's just very much like, oh my god, look at this, like, spoiled rich kid who can't do anything for himself. Like, he's never gonna last, whatever. That's kind of his mindset. So, like, he's, like, teasing Tien. He's, like, told him that everyone, like, he doesn't have, like, running water or whatever, which he doesn't, but it doesn't tell him that he has, like, a little bathing area at his hut. And he forces him to, like, he doesn't give him time to, like, brush his teeth or get ready, whatever. He's just, like, they're just annoying each other.
Yeah. Trying to run him off, basically.
Yeah. And Tien, he goes to like the schoolhouse and he meets the children and teaches them for the first day, but he doesn't really have any like lesson planned. So they kind of just get bored and like leave.
I just like I know it's a volunteer situation, but like how do you show up to teach without any plans?
I don't know. He kind of I don't know. I feel like this decision to go and like actually going there was like really quick.
Like it
'Cause I don't
was, but like I would still like the moment I made that decision in my downtime in between going and talking to like the program to get myself over there, I'd be like coming up with plans.
Yeah. He doesn't really have that.
No.
He's
He has no idea what he's
not maybe
doing.
the best teacher, but I think the village just really needs someone to like look after the kids and
Yeah.
kind of guide them, so you
Yeah.
know he
Yeah.
can fill that role. But he's got nothing to teach him the first day. He's like, draw a picture, and that's their class.
Yeah.
I also love the kids
Oh yeah,
in
the
this
kids are
show.
great.
They're so good. There's like 6 of them or something, and they all have their own like role in the story, and yeah, they're fantastic.
Hmm. They're fun.
So Pupa tells Tien that, oh, this is where all the villagers bathe, and it's like a waterfall. And Tien's like, oh my god, okay. So he like goes in to bathe, and he's got all his clothes on and stuff, which like I feel like okay, the reason he does it because he doesn't want to show anyone his scar, you know, from his
Hmm.
surgery. But I'm just like, that looks so uncomfortable. I hate having wet clothes on, like in water.
Yeah. Also, I feel like
Um,
I wouldn't feel clean afterwards. Like the fact
I
that you're clean,
know.
you're you know, bathing in natural water aside, like,
Mhm. I know you can't get a good scrub in.
hmm.
And in the water, Tien he like goes underwater for a little bit to like, you know, tease back, and Poopa thinks he's drowned, so he like dives in to save him. Um, but like Tien's just like, haha, I'm joking. Really got you.
I used to do this all the time.
Really? Oh, that's so mean. That's evil.
So I can maybe not as good as like a professional like swimmer or anything, but I can hold my breath underwater for like a significant amount of time.
Really?
And I like to just go
I
and sit in the
can't.
bottom of the pool.
Oh my god. I wish I could. I feel like my lungs are puny.
I think it's from spending so much time doing exactly that that I just built up
Mm,
the ability to do it. But
that's fair.
my favorite was I went with my grandparents to Italy and we were staying at a campground near Venice. And it was like campground my grandparents have and like my family's gone to since like the 60s. And so like they know all the same people because all the same people would always come every year. And so it was like me and my grandparents and like a couple of other couples, all like my grandparents' age. So like they were all my grandparents. All of a sudden, it was really cute. But we were all in the water at the beach, and I went underwater, and I was swimming around with the fish underwater, and I popped up like way away from where I started, and like my
Uh-huh.
grandparents were used to it, right? They didn't care. They were like, "It's Alex is fine." But the other couples were not aware that I am a fish, and so they were
Oh
very,
no.
very concerned. They're like, "Where'd she
Oh.
go? Did she drown?" And they're like looking for like a floating body in the water or something.
Oh no.
So, my bad. I am sorry to the elderly couples around my grandparents. I may have traumatized you a little.
Yeah, I would think that too. Especially in like a sea or an ocean or something. Cuz it's like you can't really see down there, so.
Yeah, and then growing up, my next door neighbor, they were like a second family to me. I call like their son like my brother, and they have an in-ground pool. So I was
Ooh.
there every day in the summer because she was a teacher, so she was home and like my mom worked, so I just hung out at their house in the pool every day.
Mhm.
And it would be just me and my brother in the pool. And I would go sit down until I got tired and then I would just go float and I float really well, so I would float on my stomach so my face was still in the water and I just wave.
You just literally look dead.
Yes. Just to traumatize my brother.
Yeah. Oh my
That was
god.
intentional.
Yeah. That's fair. If it's like a sibling thing, then I respect it.
For sure. I we would fight like siblings even though we weren't really.
Yeah.
But yeah. Anything I could do to traumatize him.
Yeah, of course.
Hmm.
Tien agrees. It is funny how like Pupa gets panicked like so quick. He's like, "Oh my god, I'm supposed to I need to like watch this guy." He like drowned immediately.
I look away for 30 seconds.
Yep. Well, hey, this will come back very soon, basically.
Yeah.
So, when they get back to Tien's house, he finds out that he has a place to bathe like in the back of his house. Um
What
that
a
like
jerk.
I know Pupa's just like pranking him like you have to bathe at this waterfall. Um so they're kind of it's kind of Tom and Jerry
Hmm.
like situation, which is cute. That's like my favorite dynamic is when they like both of them are like messing with one another. Um and Pupa basically thinks like yeah, this guy won't last more than a week. That's his prediction. That's
Would
like
you
everyone's prediction.
Yeah. Would you last in a situation like that? No electricity, a lot of mosquitoes, a lot of heat.
I think I would like it. Well, I'm not used to the mosquitoes and the heat, but it is in the north, so I think it's like a bit less hot, you know?
Yeah, but it's not like Thailand's huge. So,
I know. Oh, it's yeah, I wonder like what the weather is like where this show takes place cuz like where I live, most places don't have air conditioning either. So like in the summers when it's like 90, you know, it like really sucks, but we do have like heat at least when it gets cold, so
yeah. I have always been in
um
the South, so the heat is I have air conditioning for a
yeah.
reason.
Yeah,
But
you like have to.
like he's not too far from Chiang Mai, which is
Mhm.
only like an hour and a half flight from Bangkok. So like it's not that far, you know.
Yeah, that's true.
So, I think it's maybe not Bangkok hot, but it's still going to be pretty warm.
Yeah. I don't know. I think I would I feel like I could like it. but I don't know. It would be extremely different for me.
Yeah, I don't know that I would enjoy it, but I think I could last the 3 months that he's supposed to be there.
Yeah, I think so too. I don't know. I kind of like rural living.
I'm a city girl.
Yeah. I like grew up in the woods, so I'm just like I don't know like how different it would definitely be different, but I've definitely like stayed at places that don't have like electricity and stuff before.
Uh, that was hurricane season for me.
Yeah, that's true. For very different reasons.
Yeah. I guess when Hurricane Katrina ran through, I didn't have power for like 3 weeks. So
Mhm.
no power, lots of mosquitoes, and a lot of heat. So
Yeah, that's your training.
yeah, I didn't like it.
Yeah.
I didn't sleep much.
Yeah, that's fair. Um yeah, I think I don't know. Something like this I think I would like to try, but I'm not sure how well I would actually do.
Yeah, I think I am too much of a diva.
That's fair.
I like to say or like to think I'm not high maintenance, but like my bar is like electricity.
Mhm.
I'm like I need air conditioning, please.
Yeah. I might melt, but
Yeah.
it'll be okay. So Tian meets the village chief. His name's Kama, and Kama's like made him food and stuff, but like all the food's really spicy. And like because of the medication Tian is on, he's not supposed to eat spicy food. So he just kind of comes across like a little bit more stuck up too, I think, because he's like he won't eat, like he's supposed to like stay away from certain foods.
Hmm.
And so he's like trying to eat this meal but like stay away from the things he's not supposed to eat. So he's just kind of seems a little like picky, you know?
Yeah, the struggle.
Yeah. So Tian's complaining about the mosquitoes, which keep biting him. I would struggle with the mosquitoes for sure. I fucking hate mosquitoes.
Yeah, the reaction I have to mosquito bites is so bad.
Yeah. Sometimes I get like really big welts too.
Yeah. That's um I didn't know that there was different kinds of mosquitoes until I moved out of Mississippi.
Uh huh.
And
Yeah.
there's like a lot. And we were at the job I was doing in North Carolina, we were actually doing research on something with like mosquito repellent. And we
Mm-hmm.
had Mississippi mosquitoes shipped in for that. And like the guy that was
Oh my
working
god.
on it, I looked at him and I went, I swear to God, if you let those loose here, I will
Oh
end everything in this
no.
building.
I wonder what part of the country has the worst mosquitoes.
I'm wondering if it's Mississippi since we specifically sought those out.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised. I feel like that's definitely has like the humidity and stuff that they like.
Yeah, I would say Louisiana, Mississippi, or Florida would be my three guesses.
Okay. Yeah, I believe it. I haven't been to any of those places, but
You've never been to Florida?
no, it's so far.
It's a plane ride. I've
I
been all the way up
know.
to like North Michigan.
Um, I don't know. I haven't like well, growing up we didn't really like our family vacations was like driving farther north.
Oh,
Like we didn't really like fly places, so
I I
we
mean I
we would
guess
just like go northern Wisconsin. We go to like Lake Superior or something, which is beautiful, but
mhm.
I didn't like travel a lot as a kid, and now that I'm an adult, I'm like, why would I want to go to Florida? You
That
know?
hurts me a little bit.
I'm sorry.
No,
I'm
it's
sure
fine.
Florida's nice. I just like I don't really I'm like not really into Disney, so it's like I wouldn't really want to spend the money on Disney World.
I mean that's fair, but like the Everglades are really cool. Miami has really
Okay.
nice beaches. The Keys are really nice. Like there's other parts of like Florida that's not Disney.
That's true.
Um,
I would go sometime. I'd definitely go to the beaches.
yeah. Yeah, the beaches are really
Cause
nice. Tampa has pretty nice beaches too, and then the Panhandle has nice beaches, but they're like spring break central.
that's the main thing too. Yeah, I think when I just think of like Florida beaches, I'm just like, oh my god, it's gonna be like a bunch of college students.
Only this time of year.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
I'll go sometime.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I grew up traveling a lot more, so every time I hear somebody like hasn't been places, I'm like, what?
I just remember one time in college where it was like freshman year, so it was just like whoever lived in the dorm, we were like all talking, and somehow we found out that the only, like, out of like 10 of us, the only people who had been to like Disney World were the two like non-Americans.
That's
And they were
hilarious.
like, "What?" They were so confused. They were like, "What? You guys like don't go to Disney World?" And we were all like, "No, none of us has ever like have ever gone before."
Yeah. So by the time I turned 6, I was living in my third state already.
Oh yeah.
So we had that, and then I didn't really fly a lot either as a kid. We drove everywhere. Like it wasn't abnormal
Oh.
for me to be in the car for 2, 3 days on a road trip just to get to one place. Like
Hmm.
we drove from South Mississippi all the way up to like Lansing, Michigan, which
Yeah.
is a very long drive.
That sounds extremely long. I would not want to do that.
Yeah, my favorite was my dad and I did a road trip from Mississippi to Baltimore, which is
Mm.
like a 15, 16 hour drive, I'd say. So it still would take 2 days. It
Oh
took
my
us
god.
24 hours of straight driving, or the 48
Uh-huh.
hours of straight driving because we stopped at every tourist attraction on the way.
Oh, that's fun
Yeah,
though.
it was so much fun, but it was one of those of like we would hit like a rest stop and I was like 8, so it's not like I was driving. And and he would stop and be like, "Okay, here's my watch. Wake me up in 15 minutes." And he would sleep in like 15, 30 minute increments or so
Oh my god.
until we got there and we pulled into Baltimore. This is where he's from. And we're like on our way to like whatever family where we're gonna go stay with. And he looks at me and goes, "Do you want to just go to New York instead?" And I was like, "No, I can't. I can't be in this car anymore. Like, I can't keep you awake."
That's so fair. Oh, yeah, I've never really road tripped before.
Oh, road
So,
trips are fun. I'm
yeah.
actually trying to talk some of my friends into flying to Atlanta so that we can road trip down to Disney.
Oh, okay. How far of a drive is that?
7 hours?
Okay. It's not so bad.
No, it's not bad, and it's like a straight shot like down the interstate till you get to like the Florida Panhandle or the Florida
Yeah.
Turnpike, and so it's an easy drive. I did it last year when I went to Disney.
Mhm.
I sound like a Disney adult.
Yeah, no. I mean, if you live like kind of close, it makes
Yeah,
sense. So,
yeah. When I was living in Phoenix, it's only 4 hours to LA, and
mhm.
I spent a good like 3 months debating getting a season pass.
Oh, yeah.
They're like $4,000 to $5,000.
Oh my
Yeah,
god.
it's insane.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was like doing the
It's just so
math of
expensive.
yeah, I was like how many times do I need to go visit to make up the cost of it?
Yeah, I feel like just we would just go to like the Wisconsin Dells, which I don't know if you've heard of that. It's
Nope.
just like a city. It's a whole city and like it's just all water parks
Oh,
and
that's
theme
fun.
parks. Yeah. Or we'd go to like the UP, the
The
in
what?
Michigan. So the Upper
Oh,
Peninsula. Um those are our family's hot vacation destinations, so
yeah.
I've been there a bunch, but
We would go all over,
nowhere
I would
else.
say.
Mhm. Well, anyway,
Yeah.
where
Tangent.
were we? Oh yeah, we started with mosquitoes.
Yep.
So, Tian's like, yeah, oh my god, I'm getting like bit up so badly, like while I sleep by mosquitoes and stuff. And Poop was like, didn't you put up the mosquito net? And he's like, no, I didn't know I like had one. And so Poopa helps him like set up the net, and he makes Tien like tie kind of the last part up. And of course they have like a little romantic moment where like Poopa's like helping him tie, and like they're very close to each other, and it's like kind of the first like ooh romance moment.
I love that moment so much. The
Me
tension was
too.
immediately there.
Oh yeah. It's like dimly lit and stuff. It's so cute.
Hmm.
Um yeah, they have their the chemistry is so good right away. Um so the next day Tien he kind of goes around the village and he learns that the none of the villagers know about Torfin's passing. Pretty much only the forest rangers know about it. And it's because she was so like beloved within the village that they just like didn't have the heart to tell anyone basically. So like the kids don't know, their parents don't know, even the like village, like everyone in like the village doesn't know basically. So instead they were told that she like went away to Bangkok to like deal with some family stuff. So that's they're kind of under the impression that she's still alive. She's just like taking a break from teaching.
They're all waiting for her to come back, and it's so
Yeah.
heartbreaking.
Oh my god, the whole show they're constantly like the kids are like, "Oh, when's like Miss Torfin coming back?" and stuff. And it's like, "Oh, uh, it's so sad."
Yeah.
Especially like in front of like no one knows the connection between Tien and Torfin at this point, but like Tien, I feel like this has to make your survivor's guilt so bad just to
Mm-hmm.
hear people constantly asking like when Torfin's coming back and just knowing like, well, she's not coming back, but because of that, like I'm here. Like, yeah.
Yeah. So I think the move is, if you're gonna do this out of guilt to go teach kids in the middle of nowhere, don't
Hmm.
go to the same village.
Yeah.
Same mission, different village.
Yeah. I think that's probably a healthier way to go. Um Tien took this very mission very like seriously. Like he he was like I actually need to fulfill her actual wishes written down in her journal, which I don't think was the best idea.
No. There's a lot of trauma that he puts himself through.
Yes, definitely. So Tien is desperate to gain the kids' attention because they won't listen to him because he sucks at teaching. So he decides, oh, I'm going to take him on a field trip to see this waterfall, like the one he bathed in yesterday. So he brings the kids there, and of course, one of them, like, almost drowns, which is horrible. Like, he just wasn't watching. I guess he gets into the water and, like, actually almost drowns. For real. Um, and luckily they like the rangers come and like save the kid and he's fine. But like,
Thank God.
you know, the kid's parents and the other villagers are like not too fond of him at the moment, not too like trustworthy.
Yeah, I wouldn't be either.
No.
Or-
I
or-
mean like you've been here like 2 days and like you almost your job is to watch the kids and like you failed
D-
already.
Day 2 of teaching, and one of them has almost died.
Yeah. So it's a rough start. Tien was at this point about to leave, but he kind of remembers like why he came here in the first place and how he wants to use like his second chance at life to make a difference. And so he finds his resolve again and he's like, okay,
Good for him.
I'm not going to kill any more kids. No, Tien. He's such a good character though cuz he's like so flawed, but like in a noble way. Like he kind of reminds me of a lot of Joke from Jack and Joker.
Yeah, I can see that. Maybe
Yeah, because
less
they're both
unhinged,
kind of
but
like yeah, but they're both kind of like rich kids who like have good intentions,
mhm.
but because they are like kind of rich and naive, their good intentions end up causing more problems for the people around them.
Mhm.
So I see a lot of parallels between those characters.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense.
Yeah. So, episode 3, we kind of start with like a little flashback. We find out that Tian was previously diagnosed with like a heart issue and that he did know that like his chance of survival one day would be a transplant. So the heart attack that he had or whatever happened wasn't out of the blue. It was kind of something that they were prepared for.
Mm.
Which also makes sense why he was like gambling away like a fuck ton of money in his car and stuff because he was probably like, well, doesn't even matter because I'm probably gonna die soon.
Yeah, I think he says something like at the very like one of the first lines he says is like I'm gonna die anyway, and like one of his friends is
Yeah.
like what?
Yeah, that is. He does like kind of make a little hint towards that in the beginning. And so back in the village, a shaman is performing a ritual for the kid that almost drowned to try to like, because the villagers believe that like misfortunes happen because of bad spirits. So the shaman is there to like get rid of the bad spirits and to like kind of lessen that misfortune. And then the shaman sees Tien and immediately clocks him for having like two people's spirits inside his body. Like he just knows right away.
I love that no one else reacts to that, really.
Yeah.
Like he says it in front of a ton of people.
Yeah.
Tia's just sitting there going, "Oh shit."
Yeah. How do you know? Like the shaman really knows this shit.
Mm-hmm.
um so yeah, I just thought that was funny. But um Tien, after this whole incident, he feels really down about like his ability to be a teacher, and Pupa kind of like assures him that like listen, like don't like pressure yourself so much. Like these kids, they just need a role model and a mentor. You don't need to like be the best teacher ever. They just like, need someone to look up to. And so Tian kind of takes this advice and he goes like around the village and he actually like puts efforts into relating to the kids and their families, and like he helps out with like their chores and he learns about their livelihoods, and like he's actually like putting an effort in being involved in this community, which is like a step in the right direction. And so he's starting to kind of gain like the villagers' respect and stuff. Yeah.
Good on him for
Which I
finally
love.
figuring out how to do that.
Yeah, I know. I love to see a bit of character growth. And he does have the students call him P instead of their word for teacher. So he does kind of position himself more of just like a mentor figure than like a big brother instead of like a teacher, because he's clearly not qualified, but it's okay. It's better than nothing, I guess. So a part of this, and this scene actually is really large for affecting the plot for the rest of the show.
Yeah.
But he sees that so the most of the villagers, their profession is picking tea leaves and like selling tea. And so he sees that the guys who are buying the tea leaves are scamming the villagers basically. So like the villagers don't know like how the scale works, so they just put it on the scale, and then the guys, let's say it's like 5 ounces of tea, they'll be like, oh, that's 3 ounces, we'll pay you for 3 ounces, whatever. So he calls them out, and like they get in like a fight, like a physical fight, where Tian gets like punched in the face, and now the buyers are very pissed and they leave. And now he's like kind of fucked it all up again, because like who's gonna buy the tea leaves now?
Wait, Tian.
I know. Like again, he's like just trying to help. He's like trying to defend the villagers from being scammed and stuff, but like he's now created more problems, which I don't think he realizes how serious they are yet, but
Yeah. It definitely
yeah.
came with the best of intentions, but the worst execution.
Yeah.
I definitely see the Jack and Joker comparison now with Joke.
Yeah, right? Yeah, I would love to see those two characters
No.
together one day, just
No.
like in the same room. It might be chaos.
I mean, I think any room that Joke is in is chaotic.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
Tien is mostly chill. He just makes dumb decisions.
Yeah. That's pretty much what he does. So these guys, Tien didn't know this, but they're basically like, I don't know if I want to call them like a gang, because they're not really, but they're not really like a gang, but they're definitely involved in like organized crime,
Mm-hmm.
and so they're dangerous. So he's now pissed off some dangerous people. So because of this, Pupa decides to sleep over at Tien's house to protect Tien from those guys in case they come back. And I'm doing air quotes right now because, like,
Okay, Poopa.
okay, Pupa, you do all that. He literally, like, they sleep, like, right next to each other under the mosquito net. How romantic.
The mosquito net with holes in it too. So
Yes. Yeah. So they're like laying there, and like Poop is like oh my god, there are like so many mosquitoes in here, like, and Tien's like, yeah, look at the like how many holes are in this net, like, come on, man. Um,
I gotta say, why did Poopa let what's her name, Torfun, live like that?
mhm.
Because this is her old stuff.
That's true,
Like,
yeah.
Poopa, what are you doing?
I know. I feel like knowing like what we know about Torfin,
She
she'd
didn't say
probably
anything.
just
Yeah.
yeah, she probably didn't say anything. She's probably like, oh, if anyone needs a new mosquito net, it's like the villagers or whatever.
Mm.
But yeah, right. Um, and then they have like a moment where like Pupa lends Tien like a shirt to wear, and it's like the his like ranger shirt. And Tien is like, isn't it illegal for me to like wear this if I'm not a ranger? And Pupa's like, oh, it's okay. Officers' wives wear ranger shirts all the time.
Tien was like immediately, I'm not your wife.
Yeah.
Yeah, about that, buddy. Um,
Yeah, right. It's so I love a little playful flirt.
mhm.
So, at the end of this episode, the villagers surprise Tian with like a blessing event to officially welcome him into the village, which is really great to see that like their relationship is much better than where it started in this episode, and they do thank him for standing up for them. Like they do appreciate his intentions and stuff. So that's good at least.
Yeah.
Um, and this is where we also meet Long Tae for the first time. He is the chief's son. It's the one played by Cao Tung. He's home from university and he meets Tien. They're similar age and stuff, so they're like fast friends right away.
Mhm.
And oh my god, Cao Tung looks so different. I just can't get over how like little he looks.
Yeah, he looks so baby. Like, I mean, okay, he still looks baby now, but like he looks like
Hmm.
26-year-old baby, not like 18 baby.
Yeah.
Even though it's a 5-year difference. Like,
Yeah. No, genuinely, like, yeah, it's so. I love seeing him just like. Anytime I see him on screen in the show, I'm like, oh my god,
mhm.
Katong.
I just want to like pinch his cheeks.
Exactly. Oh my god, he's the most pinchable looking cheeks of all time. So for their party, they all like get drunk, and Pufa takes Tien home, and they have a conversation, and Tien has like puke on his face. It is so gross. Like, bro, like wipe that shit off.
Yeah, I had to put my hand over his face so I could still read the subtitles because I could
I
not handle that.
No, it's disgusting. I even hate when characters have like food on their lip or whatever, and then the other character like wipes it off their lip. But that just grosses me out too.
Yes.
But like puke on your face is like that's the
No.
worst. I can't like. And it's there for so long while they're talking. And eventually, because Tian's like so drunk, he's in bed. Pupa does wipe him down, and this is what leads to him to discover Tien's surgery scar. So, episode 4 starts juicy, okay?
Had me
So,
stressed.
this had me so stressed. We start episode 4 immediately where we left off, where Pupa confronts Tien about his scar. Because he's like, listen, I saw your scar, and I saw you have Torfin's journal. And he like starts yelling at him, like reacting like very badly. But Tien wakes up and
Thank
it's
God.
just a dream. So don't worry. I know I was so stressed because like it leaves off like it starts how we left off, and I literally thought it was real.
Yeah. It was one of those, it was a little weird how aggressive like Pupa like got, but it was one of those of like,
Mhm.
okay, I mean it is like tour fun, like it's a sensitive area for him.
Mhm.
But yeah, thank
But
God
it's
it
like
was
okay,
short dream.
it makes sense that it's a dream. Thankfully. Um, and so Long Tae comes for breakfast, and he said that like, oh, there's there's a couple that's coming back to the village to get married and like make a wish on the cliff. And he basically says like the legend of this cliff is that if you come on the last day of the year and count to 1,000 stars, then you can make like a wish and it'll come true. Which is very interesting to Tien because that is what Torfin mentions in her journal, Tale of 1,000 Stars, about like this is something that she really, really, really wants to do, or she wanted to do. So Tien feels the need to like kind of carry that favor out for her.
I'd be so stressed trying to count 1,000 stars in the sky.
That sounds impossible, to be honest. Like,
Yeah,
although I do think about how beautiful the stars must be there.
absolutely. To be able to see them without all the light pollution.
Yes, like and up on like the top of a mountain and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, I so badly want to go to this cliff. I like looked it up and stuff. It's like real far north though, like basically on the border. So
Yeah.
but,
I'm gonna pass on that one.
yeah, no.
'Cause there actually is a lot of fighting right over the border. So I
Yeah, I
don't.
mean the place they filmed this is at like a national park or something, so it's
Yeah,
like chill. But yeah.
yeah. There's just that one girl, that TikToker that does all the Thai content.
Uh-huh,
Like
yeah.
she's was recently over that way, and she's like, yeah, you can hear the shooting.
Yeah, I did see her like talk about that.
I was like, okay, this is why I'm a city
Mm.
girl.
Yeah. So, Pupa, he goes to Moore, who's the doctor, and he asks about Tien's scars, which in response, the doctor's like, ask him yourself. Like, don't ask me, I don't know anything. Like, ask him yourself, basically.
Yeah, I think at this point he doesn't know anything, right? Like he knows there's scars, but
Mm.
he doesn't know details.
Yeah, I don't think either of them really know, because,
Yeah.
like the for sure, like neither of them know about the transplant, like even the
Mm-hmm.
doctor.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But yeah, the doctor's like, well, he must have maybe got some like heart surgery or something. Like
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. You should ask him. Basically, is what he tells Pufa.
The doctor is basically just go talk to each other like throughout the whole show. Like anytime
Oh, the
anything happens,
doctor's yeah. He's the biggest like wingman actually.
right? But he's the only one who has any sense because instead of like, oh, I'm having these feelings, he's like, go talk about them.
Oh yeah. I'm a big fan of like all of the side characters in the show. Like
Yes.
they're all really really cool.
Yeah. Our bestie Drake is in this.
Yes. Drake is here too. He's one of the rangers as
Mm-hmm.
well. And then in class, Tien's like teaching and he refers to Pupa as Green Giant, which is a nickname he got from Torfin's journal. But this surprises Pupa because this is something that like Torfin used to call him. So he was like, whoa, like what a coincidence. That's crazy.
Yeah, that was a bold move.
Yeah, it kind of was.
Like,
I mean, like, Tien could have just been like, oh, like, that's what the kids call you or something, you know? But
yeah,
I don't know if he really thought about it, though. I think he
I
was
think it
just
just
kind of like
happened. Yeah.
subconsciously, yeah, came out.
And I mean, not like I mean, so Earth is kind of tall, right? Like he's not like giant
Mm-hmm.
though because he's 6 foot, right? But
Mm-hmm.
like, and he's in a green uniform, so like I get where the name comes from. Especially, I
Mm-hmm.
bet Torfun was probably short. So
I feel like she's kind of tall.
yeah, I mean, from what I remember, she didn't like look up insanely short, but
Mm-hmm. She
still.
gives off tall energy, at least. So that happens. And then Pupa takes Tien into town. And they meet up with Moore, but like Pupa immediately like has to run, so he like leaves the two of them together. Um Sorry, in my notes I misspelled Tien as Tina. It made me laugh.
Tina.
I was like, who the fuck's Tina? But I just like mixed up two letters. Anyway, so Miss Tina Tien. She that could be his drag name. I'm watching too much Drag Race, actually. Okay. So Tien asked Moore if Pupa and Torfun if they were lovers. And of course Moore's response to this is also, I don't know, ask him yourself. Which I love that he's just like both telling them to like talk to each other.
This
But
is
I
the
also
correct
love,
answer.
yeah, right. I mean, he's kind of like, oh, I know Torfin was like special to him, but I don't know if they were like lovers. Like, you should ask him. But I just love the idea of like being the friend who both your like mutual friends are trying to get information from each other. I bet it's like so fun to be in the middle of that.
That would stress me out. Not gonna lie.
Really?
Yeah, I don't want to be in the middle. Don't put me in the middle.
uh,
I'll be the
Put
wingman
me
from
in
the
the
side for
middle.
one of them, but like,
Oh, okay.
I like when it's like my one friend that I can be like, yeah, go make the move on the random guy, or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But when it's two friends, and then I'm like, okay, you guys figure it out on your own and leave me out of it.
Yeah, that's fair. That's kind of what he's doing. He's just like, just literally like, go ask him. Um, and so Pupa helps Tien cook. Basically, like stresses him out while Tien's like attempting to cook, but it's like kind of a mess.
Yeah.
Um, and he also gifts Tien a new mosquito net, which is very sweet.
Hmm.
So he's taking care of him. And Pupa tells Moore that like Tien reminds him a lot of Torfun, which this will come up a lot
From everybody.
from everyone, yeah. Which they don't know that he has the journal, so they just think like they're very similar
Hmm.
people, coincidentally.
I think at first Moore is like, yeah, they're both like Gen Z basically.
Yeah, he's like, yeah, they're both like idealistic, like young kids from the city, so like of course. But yeah, as it goes on, there's gonna be a lot more similarities.
Hmm.
So the villagers are preparing for the wedding tomorrow, and they're trying to build like a palanquin. I saw you say a palanquin.
I
I've only ever seen this word written. I've never heard it pronounced.
mean,
Okay. A palanquin. Palanquin. Palanquin.
yeah, Google says palanquin.
Okay, good to know.
I don't know if that's accurate, but it's
I'll take it. Oh, that's what I'll say. So they're trying to build a palanquin. That does sound right, yeah.
okay.
Um, for the wedding, just like a part of their tradition, because that's like what the bride sits on when they bring her in. And Tien, because he was studying engineering, he is able to help them like engineer a really like sturdy, stable one. And he's like working with like Long Tae and some other people, and like Pupa sees this and he's like very jealous of Long Tae. Like, of course he's like brooding in the background as he always does, but you can tell there's like a little jealousy there.
He cracks me up because he spends so much time kind of lurking.
Yes,
Like
he's always lurking.
it's not in like an ominous way. He's just always on the sidelines watching everything instead of like being involved.
Yeah, he's an observer for sure.
Hmm.
And now it's something that's called dog howling night, which is referred to as the night before the wedding. And basically, like, the men, the older men, they're telling this to Tien and Long Tae, who don't know what that means, but they're basically like, oh, this kids like aren't allowed outside at night because it's dog howling night. And Tien and Long Tae are like, well, what does that mean? Like, we need to go investigate. So they sneak out and they run into like the other men in the village and like the rangers and stuff, who, and they come to find out that what this means is they're all going to like spy on the bride and groom like having sex basically.
Such a weird moment.
It's so weird. They're just like peeking in through like the crack in their hut. It's like, Oh my god. I guess if that's tradition.
Yeah, a hard pass.
Yeah, hard pass. I would not want to be involved. But
No.
Pupa comes and like breaks it up basically. It's really funny. He like they're all kind of like looking in the house. He like taps on their shoulders like one by one, and they like when they see it's Pupa, they like run away until it's just Tien left. So, um, he basically he walks Tien home after that. So
Good.
shenanigans. So it's time for the wedding. Yay. Um, they like play some games at the wedding. Pupa and Tien they make a bet on whoever wins this like spinning top game that they're playing. They get like one demand. The winner does. Um, and so Tien ends up winning, and so he said, "Okay, you have to take me to the cliff." Because he can't go by himself because the the path is like kind of hard to follow, and also it's a little dangerous, and it like kind of splits. Like one side of the forest is like the ghost like evil spirit side, and the other side is like the path to the cliff. So they're like, don't, you can't go by yourself, you're gonna get lost.
Ghost Hill.
The ghost hill, yes, that's what it's called. um so they're gonna go to the cliff. So Pupa dresses up like so nice that the other rangers tease him about like his date. And he does look really nice, but it's not what I would wear hiking, I think. But it's so cute that he like made an effort and stuff. Um, I feel like it's definitely like no secret from the rangers at all that like Pupa likes Tien a little bit, you know.
A whole lot of attention for just being the teacher.
Oh yeah, they're all like, "Oh, your special teacher." Was like what they tease him about. Um, and so they go and they hike up the cliff, and Tien has like a hard time doing the hike because of his physical condition, but they eventually make it to the top. And Pupa tells him that his dad was like a forest ranger here, but he was shot and passed away, and they never caught the guy that did it. Um, and so that's kind of his like life mission is it's very like Lion King. It's like all the trees that you can see is like your land to take care of. So so Pupa's like, you know, kind of stepped into his father's shoes to take care of this village and stuff. And Tien asks about his relationship with Torfun. And he said that like she was just a treasured friend that he had. And then Pupa asks about his chest scar, and Tien's kind of vague. He just said that he had surgery. He didn't say he had like a transplant or anything. Yeah. And so at least they're talking to each other, you know?
Finally, some progress in the relationship that is
Right,
more than
yes.
them teasing each other.
Yeah, more than them asking more about each other, like discussing directly finally. This is definitely a first date, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
So, in episode 5, we start with the flashback to the night where he had the heart attack. And we see that like when so Tien, he kind of like collapses a little bit because of his heart problems like when we saw it earlier, but he was actually fine after that. He actually like kind of straightens himself up, and he makes it to the car like where they're going to do the race. So now we know he like we don't know when during that night he has a heart attack, but he makes it to the car, okay? Little crumbs. um So back in current day in the village, he lies to the doctor about not knowing how to drive because the doctor was like, "You can drive," and he's like, "I don't know how." So that'll come back. Um, um. So on the cliff, um, basically like while they were still talking, Pupa says that he found Torfin's. Oh, okay. So on the cliff, we kind of left them off where like they were asking each other things, and then Pupa asks Tien's relationship to Torfin. And so
Dun,
we find
dun.
out now. Yeah. And so we find out now the reason for that is because he found Torfin's badge in Tien's possession, which he lies about, and he says that, oh, it was just in my house and she must have left it behind. Like I don't have any sort of relationship to her.
Hmm.
Hmm. Yeah, I don't know. He probably should have told the truth at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I don't blame him for lying
Hmm.
because it is complicated, right?
It is, yes.
But yeah, the longer you drag on not telling,
Hmm.
the worse it's gonna be if and when somebody finds out.
Yeah, especially like the closer you get to this guy.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So he lies for now, basically. And Tian makes a trip to Chiang Mai, and he's like at lunch and he sees the guy that punched him last week. And this is when he learns that he is he's with the like mob boss or whatever. I don't know what to call him, but he sees that this guy is like very powerful with illegal businesses, and these guys end up like buying their lunch as kind of a sign that like, hey, I still remember you, you know?
So awkward.
It's very awkward.
I would be so stressed.
Yeah, it's kind of like, oh shit, like,
Hmm.
okay, thanks for the meal. And so while he's there, he finally is like cell reception again. So he calls his friend Tull, who is like his best friend, um, who like immediately hops on a plane to see him, which is like an hour 15-minute flight. But I love that his friend just like gets to the airport, gets on his flight, flies over.
I wish
And
I had the
so
time to just do that.
I know, and the money
I mean,
would be
the flight's
nice.
cheap.
The flight's cheap, I guess.
The
Yeah,
flight is like $50, like USD.
that's fair. But I guess to just like drop everything and
Yeah.
like take a last minute flight.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
like a day trip basically.
Yeah. Um so this is like kind of the first person from home that he's talked to since he's left. He literally like didn't really say anything to anyone when he left. He just like fell off the face of the earth. Um so he's kind of like having a heart to heart with his friend, which is like it's really good to see Tien have a friend from home who is like a nice person and
Hmm.
isn't like shitty, basically.
Yeah.
And so he admits to his friend that he's gay, like for the first time, and his friend is like supportive. Um,
I like Tool.
and yeah, this is a really sweet moment.
Hmm.
I like their friendship. Um, and he tells him about like Pupa, like he like needs to get this off his chest because he has like no one else to talk to basically, um, about this, and so like while this is happening, the Rangers are also like at dinner with Pupa and they're trying to get him to admit his feelings for Tien.
Poopa was so funny during this because Poopa like spent the day going, "Where's Tien?" And then it was,
Yes.
"What do you mean he's in the city? Who took him there? I don't know.
Yeah.
What's he doing there? I don't know." Um, just it kept going and on and on and on, and everyone was like, "Okay."
Yeah, and then of course I think the doctor was like, oh yeah, because he was supposed to come back with more, or someone.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was the doctor.
It was the doctor.
And then the doctor comes back alone, and like Poopa's like, where's Tien? Like, what the heck? And Mora's like, chill. Like, his friend came to visit, so they're like staying the night. Like,
It's
but
fine.
yeah, chill out. But it's kind of not
No,
fine
it's not.
because yeah. So while he like gets up to go to the bathroom, the henchmen attack Tien, and Tien actually kind of fucks him up. Like, he's like 2v1ing like these guys. Like, he's fighting back. But he does get kicked in the chest, which is like scary because
Yeah.
he just had surgery. And Tull comes and like saves him basically. And so like that's scary that these guys are still fighting you. So
Yeah. It's gonna be a
like,
problem.
you don't want like powerful crime bosses pissed at you, but
No.
he's done just that.
Sounds about right.
Yeah. And so the next day, Pupa picks up Tien from Chiang Mai, and he like takes him sightseeing on the way back, and it's cute. He like takes a photo of him, and they're both like so scared to make any moves. Like there's so much tension. They like, cause he like drops him off, and you can tell like they both kind of like
Direct
make
conversation.
yeah, they just like keep having conversation. You can see that they're like not sure, like, should I invite him in? Like, should I invite myself in? Like, should I like do like should I go? Like, you can just kind of see all of that happening. And eventually it ends with Tien. He invites like Pupa to fly kites with him and the kids tomorrow. And when that happens, they're flying the kites and stuff. It's very happy. It's very pretty. And then Tien collapses.
Of course. He does this quite a bit.
He kind of does. This one is extra bad.
Yeah.
Because what we come to find out from the next episode is that he is out of meds. Like, for his that stop his like bodies from attacking his new organ. Like, he's just like out of meds.
Yeah, it's his immunosuppressants,
Yes,
which are
that's what they're called.
critical for transplants.
Yeah, this dumb idiot. Like, you can't run out of those meds. Like, you need. I thought he went to Chiang Mai to get more meds. Maybe he did, but he
Got
didn't.
distracted.
Yeah, I'm like, oh my god. Like, so it's kind of serious. And so now Dr. Moore like knows about the transplant because he like, I think Long Tae brought him the meds.
Yeah.
He was like, hey, this is what he's been taking, and now like Moore is like, oh.
I see what's actually happened.
Yeah. And so he like asks Tien about it, and he's basically like, yeah, you're stupid, like, for moving here so soon after your surgery. Like, you're just dumb.
Yeah.
Which he is. So very true.
There's nobody in the right, because I think the timeline is it's 6 months post surgery is when he decides that he wants to do this. And
Yeah.
like 6 months is a long time, but it is nothing when it comes to a transplant. Like, they're so sensitive. Like, you have to be so careful that your body doesn't reject
Yeah.
and start killing whatever like organ you've had replaced.
Yeah, and of course he moves to this remote place that's like not near any hospital.
Yeah.
Like,
And then doesn't tell the one doctor that he has.
and doesn't take his meds.
Yeah, come on. Come on, Tien. This is when he's Tina and not Tien.
This is when he's Tina, you're right. Tina moment. And all right, so remember when Long Tae grabbed the meds? Well, he also found Torfin's journal while he was in Tien's room. And he kind of confronts Tien about this, and was like, why do you have Torfinn's journal? Like, he doesn't even know Torfinn's dead, basically.
Yeah.
So, which is, so Tien has explained a lot. He tells the truth about Torfinn's death, and he tells the truth about the transplant and how her heart was donated to him. And he it kind of explains himself like in his mission to use the second chance he has at life to be a better person and make a difference and like give back to Torfinn, whatever. And Longtae, like, he understands, like, he takes this pretty well, but he does say that you need to tell everyone. Like, he's like, you can't, like, everyone deserves to know this. Like, you can't keep lying to everyone. Which I think is slightly unfair because it wasn't Tien's decision to keep Torfinn's death a secret. Like, that was the Rangers.
Yeah, I agree. It's one of those, it's like, it's one thing to keep secret that, like, he got her heart in a transplant, but,
Mm-hmm.
like, the fact that they don't even know that she's dead, that's on uh, Poopa, honestly.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah, like, that wasn't, like, Tien's decision, so,
No, because that happened
yeah.
months before he even came to, so,
Yeah.
like, that,
So, yeah, at least, like, Longtail, like, understands and is, like, very accepting and stuff, but, like, I don't know. I don't think it's Tien's fault that, or, like, responsibility to tell everyone about Torfinn's death, really.
mm-hmm.
I mean, it wasn't before. Now, maybe he has, like,
Yeah.
he shouldn't, like, lie about their connection. It's just, like, messy now,
Mm-hmm.
basically.
See, this is where he would have had to tell, like, Poopa, excuse me, where,
Mm-hmm.
Poopa, that, he has her heart, and then it's like, hey, I want to tell the village, but, like, we gotta break some news first, you
Yeah.
know? So, yeah, Tien should have had, like, a conversation with, like, Poopa and made it, like, a joint thing of, like, breaking the news, you know?
Yeah, that would have been ideal.
Yeah, because Poopa, like, knows the villagers a little better. I think he would have had a better handle on how to break that news in
He
a way
also
that,
knew Torfinn,
yeah,
which
that too.
Tien does not really know her.
Yeah,
So,
that's weird to come from him and be like, yeah, your old teacher's dead. Um,
yeah, like, I didn't know her, but I'm alive because of her. Like, it's like more
yeah,
awkward.
yeah,
So, yeah, that would have been the ideal way to go, I feel.
yeah, that's not even close to what happens.
No. All right. So, Tien finds out that, like, the villagers, they can't sell their tea anymore because those guys who would buy it, like, they're not buying from them anymore. So
Hmm.
he calls his friend Tull and he asks for money to buy tea from the villagers. But Pufa, like, shuts it down immediately. He, like, hangs up the phone. And he's basically like, I mean, if you give a man a fish type situation where he's like,
Yeah.
well, like, if you can't just, like, bail them out of this. Like, you can't just constantly give them money forever. So,
Hmm.
like, we need a new solution.
Yeah. I think Tien has the money to just give them money forever, but
Yeah. But, like,
but
that's one of the
no.
running, like, themes in the show is, like, one of the reasons why Tien left home is because he didn't want to have to, like, rely on money to fix all of his problems, like what his parents do.
Yeah,
Um,
no. I mean, it makes sense that Poopa shut it down because it doesn't
yeah.
fix the problem, right?
Uh-uh.
So,
Yeah. And so they come up with this idea to make, like, little tea sachets and sell them at, like, tourist shops. Um and so they're able to sell, like, 50 of them, but it's not nearly enough. Like, they have,
hmm.
like, so much tea and it's, like, starting to go bad. And so one of the children basically have this idea where um to, like, embroider their names on the sachets to, like, make them more unique and stuff.
Hmm.
So they, like, start doing that, and um they get a much better response from, like, the businesses and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they get more orders, I think, than they can handle.
Oh yeah. They now have like thousands to do. So
Mm-hmm.
that's the good news. So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
they're figuring out some business. And they're spending all like everyone in the village is spending all their time making these sachets basically. And Pupa again is like sulky and jealous that like Longtae and Tien are spending all their time together embroidering.
What a
Just
brat. Like, just get over it.
I know, just go over there and like talk to him. Come on. And like Moore is trying to like wingman like so hard. Like he's trying to like get them together and like it's so funny.
Tien shuts more down so fast, though.
He does. Tien's so like no nonsense, I feel. Or he's like no bullshit. Like no
Yeah.
man. But um so Pupa goes to deliver the sachets to the store, and while he's there he runs into the mob boss. His name's Por Liang. And now the mob boss knows about their new sachet business. Um and he seems pretty like mad at Tien still. Like he's still like extremely salty, but yeah, he's got some info now, which is not good.
Yeah.
And Tien and Pupa talk after like making the sachets. Like they finally finish. They put it all in like the storage shed in the classroom, and like, you know, things are looking very optimistic. And Pupa asks if he plans to stay once his term is over, which is like a month away. Like Tien's been here for like 2 months already. And Tien is just like, "Are you asking me to stay?" Um, and Pupa's just kind of like fumbling around, like having a hard time admitting it straightforward. Um, where I know they like get interrupted, so he never really properly finishes. But Tien does gift Pupa like a green giant sachet that he made for him. So like, I think both of them kind of have a hard time like talking about their feelings and intentions. They would both rather like kind of show it. So yeah, that's like a sweet moment. Also, Earth wears a Green Bay Packer shirt, which made me laugh. I only did because I'm from Green Bay, so I was like, oh, Wisconsin mentioned. Very exciting for me. Also, he wears like the same outfits like the whole show, so it's like when I saw him in like a new shirt, I was like, oh, something new.
The one, like, nice button up he's got.
Yeah, literally. This so he only wears his shirt like one time, and I'm like, hell yeah, hometown.
It's a random shirt.
I know, yeah. But yeah, so they end the night on a positive note. Except Tien is awoken in the middle of the night to yelling because the school is burning down and all the tea sachets are inside. And of course, dumbass Tien runs inside. I guess to get the sachets, but like, what the hell is he gonna do? They're already all on fire, and he has a heart condition, so of course he collapses again. I think this is the like third time, fourth if you count
Fourth time, yeah.
the fourth time, yeah.
Yeah.
And,
Tien is very a think first or a do first, think way later type of a person.
oh yeah, he's so impulsive, man. And of course, he has to get carried out by Pupa. But he does. Tien, like while he was inside, he grabbed the kite that Pupa made for him. When they went to go fly kites. So
Where he
yeah,
collapsed the last time.
yeah, yeah, right.
Like, good job.
Yep. So yeah, that was that's I was devastated when this happened. Like
Yeah.
just to see all that hard work
Mm-hmm.
for nothing, like that's just like so like
Yeah, it's so disheartening.
way to like kick them while they're down.
I think that's the point.
Yeah, I know. But yeah, very devastated. So episode 7, we get a little flashback to where before leaving Bangkok, Tien realizes that Torfun was hit and killed by his car.
Oh no.
So
This
he ends up, while he was Googling her name, he sees like the police report and they're like, yeah, a person in this car with this license plate killed her and it's his car.
that is that is rough.
Yeah.
That is
Isn't it awful?
like, at this point it's, oh, your car, you killed this person and then you got her heart?
Yep.
Like, mm, yeah, the guilt I would feel. Like,
I know.
I would never recover from that guilt.
And I think at this point, like, because there was so much happening in the show, the first time I watched it, I was like really shocked by this because I didn't
Mhm.
pick up on all the little hints about like him complaining that his parents sold his car and like him lying about not being able to drive, whatever. Like, I didn't really like
No.
pick up like on those hints, so I didn't
Mm-mm.
realize that it was his car that killed her until like this moment, which was such a good plot twist for me.
Yeah. I mean, even with the hints, I don't remember the first time if I caught it or not, but even with the hints,
Mhm.
it's such a like a rough plot twist.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah. Also, at this point in the show, I think we're kind of made to think that he is actually the one that like hit and
drove.
killed her, which
Yes.
we'll find out like later he wasn't driving, but like
Yeah.
they do make you think that.
Yeah.
And so Tian is being taken care of by Moore at the ranger station because he ran into a active fire. And Moore ends up seeing his legal name. And he recognizes his last name because that is the same name as like the former Secretary of Natural Resources, which is his father. And so Moore is starting to get a little sus of Tien,
As he should.
as he should. He's gonna do a little bit of sleuthing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and Poopa also doing some sleuthing. He discovers there's fire starter on the ground where the school burnt down. So he knows it's arson and he suspects it's Porling's guys, the mob people.
That would have been my
It,
first thought, even without fire starter, to be honest.
yeah. I mean, me too.
Yeah. Like, I guess it kind of makes sense it wasn't like Poopa's, maybe,
Hmm.
because I don't know that Tian told anyone what happened in Chiang Mai. Um
That's true, yeah.
so
I
like,
guess, like, Poopa might have thought, because he did meet, like, the guy. Like,
yeah. So I mean there's hints, but like
hmm,
not quite as extreme as like Tian getting attacked already.
yeah. I think now it's also, like, it's important because it's, like, physical evidence, too.
Mhm.
Where
Yeah, yeah,
it's
yeah.
like, okay, now they can, like, have a police case, whereas before, like, even if they suspected it, it's like you can't really do anything.
Mhm.
Um, and poor Tien, he like blames himself for everything, and he's like, "Listen, if I stay, I'm gonna make things worse. Like bad things are gonna happen. So I have to go home to Bangkok." He like decides not to renew um his stay there.
Yeah. I mean, I think I'd have dipped out too at that point because I'd have been like, look,
Yeah,
we day two was me nearly killing a child.
yeah,
Then I ruined the one income these people have,
uh
and
huh,
then I fixed it, and then it got worse.
yep, yeah. I think at that point too, I might have just given up.
Yeah. I think I would have made some noise like in Chiang Mai or something like that so that they know I left as
Uh-huh.
maybe some hope for to help
Yeah.
the villagers. You know, like
Yeah.
like here's me waving my white flag.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, he probably thinks like if he leaves, then the mob guys will like leave them alone. So,
Yeah. I think it's safe to say they probably wouldn't though.
yeah, probably not.
Yeah. Like
Um,
I would have the same logic, but I doubt they would leave them alone.
they seem quite salty
Yes.
in my from my experience. Um, but basically, Poopa gets Tien to stay at the ranger station with him instead, so he can be like protected. He's like, no, like don't go home right away. Just like come stay with me. I'll make sure like they don't come attack you in the middle of the night, which now is like a legit concern.
Yeah.
So this is very fair. But like while they're living together, Poopa's like walking around like shirtless to like tease Tien, and he like forces him to give him like a back massage. Um and he like pulls Tien like into his arms, like on the bed and stuff. And it's like
Yeah.
it's really cute. I love seeing this Poopa like being very forward with his intentions instead of just like brooding in the background.
Yes.
hmm
Speaking of shirtless Poopa though, are
hmm
those Earth's actual tattoos?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Are the like arrows going down the side?
Yes.
Okay, because I was gonna say those are the best looking fake tattoos I've seen in Thai BL.
Yeah, no. I'm almost positive they're real, and I think in
Okay,
Osan's Love they like covered them up.
okay, that's where I wasn't
So,
sure because I don't have a lot of complaints about Thai BL as a whole, but the
uh-huh.
tattoos drive me insane. Why are
The
they
fake
so
tattoos are
glossy?
so bad normally. Um, yeah, I'm with you. I'm pretty sure they're real. Sorry if
Yeah,
I'm wrong, but they must be real.
they
Cons-
they look too
Considering how they
good.
look.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're not glossy as hell.
Uh-huh. Shade. But
I mean, I'll say, going back to Jack and Joker, since we talked about it, Joke's tattoos don't look too fake either. They actually look pretty
that's
good.
true. Yeah,
Like,
he just has
they're,
like the hand tattoos and stuff.
I mean, he's got them all over,
Yeah.
but like
Yeah.
his look way better than like, um, Can't in Heart Killers.
I agree.
Like, the designs of Can'ts are fine, but like, they, they look like too shiny.
The worst though is the one from Playboy. The what is it? Play with me.
Oh God.
The big one guy
Whatever,
had
yeah.
Playboy big on his chest. It says like "play with me," and it's like fake, and it looks bad, and it's like if you're gonna have a fake tattoo, at least make it like good.
Maybe one day we'll finish that show and we can talk about it.
Wait, okay, that'll be like a season finale one day.
Okay.
You know,
Torture myself for that. I can
I
do
don't know if
that.
maybe we'll see.
I don't know that I'll rage the way I did with Darn Type, but I'll have a
That's
lot to
true.
say.
I just have a lot of confusion from when I was watching that show, but
Yeah.
maybe if we talk about it, I'll be less confused.
Yeah, we'll give it the like 4 minutes treatment of like going slow to understand everything.
Yeah, it might be necessary. I think we might be more confused at the end, though.
Probably.
All right, so the villagers now are keeping everyone away from the Ghost Hill area because they're like two of our villagers, they were possessed. So, like, no one can go over there right now. And Pupa and Tien, they like sit on a hammock together at night, and Pupa like plays the flute that Torfin gave him. He like sings to Tien, and he's like a little bit drunk, so he grabs Tien's hand, and he like says that he's lonely and he doesn't want a casual friend.
Okay, Poopa.
This is like the closest we'll come to like a confession,
Yeah.
basically. Um, and he also admits that he's like, sometimes I think you and Torfin like are the same person. And they almost kiss, but Pupa like passes out because he's drunk. So
Good job.
yeah.
And they
um,
never address this scene ever again.
no, they will not. We'll just pretend like nothing ever happened.
Yep, they go back to whatever normal is.
Yeah. Well, maybe Pupa doesn't remember. That's why.
Maybe.
And so the school is rebuilt. The chief and like the villagers are like, "Hey, we've been meaning to redo the school for a long time. So, you know, this was a good opportunity to like rebuild it bigger and better." And so they do a really nice job on making a nice school. And Tien tells Longtae, he's like, "Listen, I think it's time I tell people the truth."
Yikes.
Yeah. Um, and while this is happening, he's doing his investigation, and he discovers that Tien has Torfin's heart. Like, he gets like the medical documents for that. So he now knows the relationship between them. And he also finds Tien's Facebook, which he said he deactivated, but he lied about it. And on it is a picture of Tien with the car that killed Torfin. Yikes. So, yeah, both the audience and more at this point are kind of thinking that Tien killed her, took her heart, and is like now in her place, which is like so scary.
I used to like a character at that point.
I
Like, I felt
know.
guilty liking him as a character.
Yeah. That's like a horror movie concept, you
Yeah.
know? Or like a dark comedy, but yeah, not this.
Hmm.
And so in episode 8, Pupa is scrounging through Tien's room and he finds the journal, and he starts to realize the coincidence between Tien and Torfin isn't a coincidence. It's because Tien has read things that Torfin's written in the journal. So like, for example, she's written like, "Oh, Pupa's favorite meal is this." So that's like one time Tien cooked that for him, you know, or he calls people certain nicknames and stuff. Like, none of it's a coincidence. It's all because Tien has this journal, which
Messy.
I feel like is probably a crazy feeling.
Yeah. I feel like Tien should have used some of that information, but not quite to the extent he did, you know?
Yeah, I mean, like, none of it was like malicious. It was just like Pupa's favorite meal is this, and so he like cooked that meal for him, you know, and like
Yeah. Yeah, it
like
definitely
stuff
wasn't
like that.
malicious. The nicknames thing though, that's where it gets a little weird. When
Yeah,
you start
that's
using
true.
the yeah. Like
Yeah, I
that's a
agree.
line that where it would be a lot harder for me to like reconcile that there wasn't anything malicious.
Mhm.
Um
Yeah, and okay, this is the one scene I have beef with in the show. Cause like, what the fuck? So Tien and finally announces to the village that Torfin is dead and that he has her heart. And then instead of explaining it like logically like he did to Longtae, he goes, "But also I am responsible for her death." And so everyone literally thinks he killed her. Like,
I mean,
why would he phrase it like that?
he does explain later why he did that. Cause,
I
and,
it's dumb though.
I mean, it is, but it's one of those he feels such guilt that even though he wasn't the one behind the wheel, he was the one who told his friend to drive his car, right? And so he was the one who handed the keys over and supplied the car that killed her. And so he's like, it might as well have
Yeah.
been me. So like I get it.
I get it too. I guess okay, I guess I guess I would feel the same way is maybe if like my friend was drinking and I gave them my car keys and they killed someone, I would feel responsible. But if like my friend wasn't drinking and I gave them my car to borrow and they killed someone, like I wouldn't feel responsible, you know?
I mean,
But I
weren't
think
they all
because
drinking at the bar?
that's my what I'm thinking. I'm like, if they were drinking, then I guess I do understand this logic more.
Yeah, they were drinking, or they were gonna race too. So I mean, I don't know if they were mid race at the time,
Yeah.
because street racing is dangerous for this reason. Um,
Yeah. Yeah. Eh,
I mean,
Yeah, I
I still
see.
think I would award it a little different, but like I get where he's coming from because I would feel the same.
Yeah, I do think if you didn't kill someone, you probably shouldn't tell people that you did, you know? Or at least
Yeah,
like
I mean, he needs some therapy to process this guilt, is what it
yeah,
is.
he does. He is this is also like he is just like emotionally ruined at this point. Like
Hmm.
the guilt's eating him alive. Like you can see like they have this beautiful new school, but he can't feel happy at all because all he can feel is just like devastation and stuff, and like you
Hmm.
can tell it's like weighing on him so hard. So I guess like I can't blame him for the way he worded this because I think he was being especially like harsh on himself, but
Hmm.
I do think like that's kind of a fucked up thing to do to the villagers who all loved and cared about this person, like to say that you killed her when you like physically didn't
Yeah,
is kind of like disrespectful to them.
yeah. There's a lot for them to take in at once, right?
Yeah.
She's dead. The one that killed her is the one who's been teaching the kids for a while, but also he has her heart. Like that's there's a lot all at once.
Honestly, the show is so like soapy, but in the best way. And everyone's devastated by this. Pupa is up extremely upset. He basically tells Tien that like you should leave the village. And tensions are high in general because there I think there's some like more active fighting on the border and stuff. So it's like it's already a very tense situation in the village. And so Moore has this realization that basically Tien was in the hospital when Torfin was hit and killed. So he tells Pupa like it can't have been Tien to like he couldn't have been the person to hit her because he wasn't driving at the time. He was in the hospital. Um, and so we kind of get Tien's side of the story then because he's now explaining to Longtae because at least Longtae will still hear him out. Um, but he said like, yeah, I sent my friend Prem racing that day in my place. He was the one that hit Torfin. And like Longtae is like, well, kind of what I was saying, like you should tell people you didn't kill her because everyone thinks you killed her. Like Longtae is like very much relieved by this. He's like, "Oh my god, I thought you killed her. Like why did you say that when you didn't?" Um and Tien is just like, "Well, I gave the weapon that killed her, so I feel like just as responsible." So, yeah, he does that is his reasoning, but it's like I'm with Longtae. Maybe tell people like you didn't kill her. And so basically Pupa is forcing Tien to leave. He's told Tien like this is gonna be your last day. He's told like all the villagers like, oh, Tien's leaving on this day. Like he basically doesn't have a choice. He's being kicked out. And before he leaves, like him and Tien like are not on speaking terms at all. Like it's very tense.
Yeah.
And so Tien's final wish, he wants to go to the Papandao Cliff on the last day of the year to make that wish for Torfin. And he asked Longtae, he's like, can you like show me the way right now so I can remember for later when I have to go up myself, because he can't go up with Poopa anymore because Poopa hates him. So, and Longtail thinks like he's like, that's a bad idea. Like, two people just got haunted from the ghosts that were on that path, like, which is why we're not allowed to go there. So he is not about it, but Tian like eventually like convinces him. So Tian and Longtae, they are walking on the path and they see the two guys from the village that were quote unquote possessed. They're sneaking around. And they realize that they purposely, like, they faked this and just so that people would stay away from this trail because they're up to some shit. So they follow these guys into their like secret storage of items that they have to like smuggle across the border. Also, Por Liang is there, because they're working together, and Tian, he's so stupid. It's like, it hurts. Um, so okay, I genuinely like don't think Tian's like dumb, but he does the dumbest things. It's like, bro. So he decides like to get evidence of this. So he takes a picture, but his flash is on and it's in the middle of the night. So they all see this and all the like mob guys start chasing him.
Like my flash is never on my phone, like intentionally.
Yeah.
Like
Mine's not either because I take pictures of my cats. I don't want to like blind them every time.
so yeah, the fact that he just took a photo with the flash on, like I was waiting for the shutter sound to also like go off at that point.
I know. It's just like, Tian, it's hard to defend you here. Like, come on, man.
Mm-hmm.
And so he gets chased. He tells Longtae to split up because he's like, hey, they know I'm here. They don't know there's two people. You need to go get help. And so eventually he's Tina again. He's done something stupid. He's his alter ego, Tina. He gets captured by the guys, and they are like so close to shooting him. But Poopa rocks up out of nowhere and shoots the guy first. Seems like Longtae was able to go get help in time, which is good.
I love when Tina, this is definitely a Tina moment, when
Tina moment.
Tina is talking to poor Leung, and he's like, "Yeah, do you know who I am?" And he's like,
He
"My
pulls
dad
like the
is."
daddy card.
Yeah, he's like, "My dad is the secretary of whatever," and poor Leung does not give a shit.
No.
He like turns his back and goes, "Shoot him."
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I think that was so funny too. Like, just so useless. But at least he stalled long enough.
Yeah.
But that's not what he was trying to do, really.
Yeah, looking at Tian, he looked dead serious that was his get out of free jail card. You know.
Yep. Yep. Your connections aren't gonna help you here, boy.
Nope.
And so now there's a big shootout. Everyone's getting shot. Tian is about to get shot, but of course, Poopa takes the bullet for him.
Of course.
Yeah. Which is probably good because I don't think Tian could survive being shot while recovering from a heart transplant. Like,
Probably not.
no, that would kill you. So,
Yeah. Just the medical complications that would come with having to deal with like blood transfusions and whatever and yeah.
So we're start the next episode. We're at episode 9. We get a flashback to Torfun and Pupa on the cliff. She says that she has feelings for him, but she's like, but I know you only like see me like as a sister. And so she asks to get like brought back on the last day of the year to make her wish, which she was never able to do herself. But now we finally have confirmation that they were just friends. Like we see
Mm-hmm.
that she had feelings for him, but it wasn't really like reciprocated in the same way.
Mm-hmm.
So they do surgery on Pupa. It goes well. Before he wakes up, Tien like cries and apologizes and kind of explains himself, like everything that's happened. But of course, Pupa's like secretly awake,
Of
listening to
course he
all of
is.
this. Yeah, of course. And Tien's dad comes to the hospital. Tien's staying there too because I guess he was like kind of injured and stuff. So
Yeah, he hurt his arm.
yeah, he fell on his arm or some shit. So basically we find out that the dad knew where his son was the whole time, but kind of assumed he would like get bored and come home by now, which is why he didn't like stop him at all. And but he's like, okay, like you're done, like okay, time to come home, like you've had your fun.
Mm-hmm.
And Tien explains that like, listen, I've like learned how to do things for myself, and I'm proud of the work I've done here, and I'm proud of like, you know, how I've grown as a person, instead of like having things just like handed to me or like bought for me, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And so dad's like still trying to get him to come home, but Tien's like, listen, like okay, but there is one thing I need to do first.
Mm-hmm.
So Tien and Pupa, they have a talk. Pupa says he knows everything about like the Torfun incident. You know, like he knows that Tien didn't actually like kill her himself.
Yeah.
Which even though Tien feels like he did, like the difference does matter to most people. Believe it or not.
Surprising that, right?
Yeah, right. And he said that even like when he thought he was dying, he wasn't mad at anything Tien did. And he's like, I feel like Torfin would have felt the same. And so they kind of like reconcile. Yay, finally. Love to see it.
Yep.
It's not gonna last long though.
It's like 5 minutes.
Oh god, this show's so angsty. And so, in the hospital, we see that Pupa is talking to Tien's dad. Seems like they know each other. Tien witnesses this, and he's like, "What the hell? Like, how? Like, why do they know each other?" And so, when he gets home, Tien confronts Pupa about this. Or no, he confronts his dad about this. Basically, we find out that he confronts Pupa about this.
I was like, wait a second.
I got confused. So we find out that Tien's dad was Pupa's former commander, and when he found out that his son was coming to this village, he asked Pupa to take extra care of him. Which that hurts. Like,
yeah, that upset me.
Me too. Especially because, like, okay, because they, like, fight about this, and Pupa is just like, well, I mean, you were a rich kid who came here to have fun. And Tien's just like, how can you still not see what I'm trying to do? Like, none of this is fun for me. Like,
not having a good time.
This, yeah, because I, like, owe this person everything, and I'm trying to, like, be a better person. Do you really think I'm just here to, like, play around and stuff?
The answer is yes, apparently.
Yeah. Which, like Pupa's just saying this to be hurtful, but it really sucks, like, to just, like, to, like, everything, like, if you're Tien, you must think back to everything he did for you and be like, you know, was he doing this because he was asked to and he was obligated to, or, like, I thought he was doing this because he cared about me and had feelings for me, but maybe, like, I'm being gaslit now, you know?
Yeah, and it's one of those, it's even if Like now it's because he wants to and not because he was asked to. Like in the beginning, it was definitely
Mhm.
because he was asked to. So it's like, okay, when did that change happen is where I would start to
Yeah.
question things because like, okay, is,
Exactly.
is it just the
Yeah.
last week that we've been cool or is it, the last 2 months or what?
Mhm. I know. Yeah.
But yeah, no, the
So
outright betrayal.
it hurts.
Yeah.
And so he's preparing to leave basically, and Kama says, the chief, he says that like he's like, listen, I'll explain everything to the villagers, like they'll forgive you, like once they know you didn't like actually kill her. Um and Pupa thinks he needs to end the relationship before it starts. Cuz he keeps saying like, "Oh, it'll never be possible."
This
Um
man.
I know, like why never, Which is why he was like lashing out, being like so rude earlier, but basically he's just doesn't he isn't he has some emotional problems, so he's just like, yeah, I'm gonna stop things before they even begin.
Yeah. How well does that work out?
Mm-mm. No. Um. Oh, okay. So this is where Pupa announces to the kids that Tien is leaving, which is news to Tien because he actually wasn't planning to leave. This is now where he's like physically being kicked out. So this pissed me off so bad, but it's like, oh my god, he doesn't even get a choice. So yeah, this is when he also confronts Pupa, like, did you only take care of me because it was your duty, or because like did you feel anything at all? And Pupa's just like why is it so wrong for a poor officer to like try to get ahead in life?
Mean it.
Oh, he doesn't mean it. But that's so horrible because that
No.
brings back this looming theme over Tien's head of his family just buying their way through everything. They're just
Yep.
buying their way like through life.
Ab-
And that's not what he wants.
yeah. The one thing he's trying to run away from while he like learns about himself basically is the one thing he
Mm-hmm.
can't escape apparently.
Yeah. And I guess he's kind of accepted that he's leaving. And so for the next couple of weeks he's like doing the best he can to help the kids, and like he's talking. Oh, I love Moore, but he's talking to Moore about Pupa, and Moore is like, "Can't you tell he's lying?" Like, he's Moore is basically like selling out his friend. Like, yeah, like Pupa definitely cares about you. He's just like being a bitch. Like, you know, it's just so that like it hurts less when you leave and stuff. Oh no, Earth has a beard now.
Worst fear.
I hate it. I actually hate it. I'm like not anti facial hair, but like it's like a depression beard, and it's like, oh my god, he's not looking great, I'll be honest. Which is hard because Earth is one of those beautiful men I've ever seen. But I guess Earth has been locked himself in his room and he's been depressed for the last couple weeks. And so basically, like, the reason why he's sending Tien home now is because in the hospital, Tien's dad was like, hey, your job is to help me send Tien home. Which is why he's being like all mad and emo all the time because he's still doing his duty. And so Tien visits him, and like basically he knows that Pupa lied about not having feelings, and um he asks Pupa like, how do you really feel? Like, and and Pupa's just like, it's impossible. Like he says that again, which isn't an answer. And Tien's like, listen, like if you set that aside, like all I want to know, all I want to hear is like, how do you feel about me? And like Pupa's just like if I tell you how I feel, like it'll make things harder. Which is, I mean, it's like a kind of a confession in itself, but like Tian wants to hear it, you know?
I would too.
Of course, yeah. But saying, "Oh, I can't tell you how I feel because it'll make things harder," is just like it's acknowledgement, but it's not like a confession. So, so Pupa basically he's doing this because he also thinks like he wants Tian to go home and finish school, and like he wants him to like finish that stuff instead of like basically giving up, like running away and giving up everything to stay here with him. Because like from his perspective, he's like, well, he's young, he has so much opportunity, and like he shouldn't just give that up like for me, you know. But he says that like once he's like done that, if Tien returns, he'll know he'll know it's like right then, basically. Like you have to, if you love something, set it free. That's basically what's happening. Really sad. Like I understand like their point of views, but it does suck to not give Tien that agency to like make his own decisions.
It that's part of the struggle for him the entire time, right? Like it's what his parents want, and now like Pupa is not giving him any kind of option because Pupa's like,
Mm-hmm.
you have your whole future ahead of you, whatever. Because again, it's he's the rich kid, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like,
Can't
oh,
throw that
come on.
away.
It's like,
But
okay,
I do get it because Tien makes terrible decisions constantly. So it's like,
yeah,
yeah, I guess we should decide for him, or he will literally run into a burning building.
yeah.
So it's the New Year's party and combined goodbye party for Tien. And afterwards, Tien he makes his hike up to the cliff alone. And this is the last way he feels he can return the favor to Torfun. He's like, after this, like, Torfun, I've done everything I can for you. Like, this is the last thing I have to do.
Mm.
And so he, like, plans. He doesn't know what her wish is. But his plan is he's going to count to 1,000 stars, and then he's just going to wish for her wish to come true. But he keeps getting, like, overwhelmed with emotion, and he's unable to do it. He keeps losing track of stars. He's also like standing, which I probably would lay down personally if you're like trying to count some stars, but I get it. It's a TV show. Although it feels so real to me, the show.
Yeah.
I was getting so emotionally attached to everything. I was like, this isn't a show. This is real life. And in the middle, so he's having this kind of breakdown. He like can't do it, and Pupa shows up and he tells him to stop, and like he's like, don't do, like, you need to stop, like you've done enough for her, you can't keep living your life for someone else, like you need to do things for yourself,
Which is
which I
frustrating for him to say, where he's also
yeah,
forcing Tien to go and do something he doesn't want to do. So
exactly,
I'm
yeah.
like, okay, you hypocrite.
Yeah, it is kind of hypocritical. Like I get like what he's saying, like it's kind of just like, okay, you can't like live with the survivor's guilt forever.
Yeah,
You have to like,
yeah. What he's saying is not wrong, but
move
he's
on.
just also the problem.
It's so true. um and they like hug and stuff, and Pupa gives Tien the ring that he got from his mother, and it's inscribed with Heart of Pupa, which I think means mountain. So, it's like heart of the mountain.
I love this. But
I know.
also, like, okay. confess your feelings, kiss, decide you're gonna
I
do the long distance
know.
thing, something, you know?
This was the point where in the show where I was like, "Oh my god, I don't think they're gonna kiss." um, so episode 10. This is the last episode.
Hmm.
10-episode show. So before leaving, Tien leaves sticky notes of like advice around for the next teacher, which is really sweet of him. Like here's the mosquito net and like whatever. Um, and the villagers all like give him gifts and like send him off, and everyone cries, and me too. I cried too. I'm not gonna lie. And it's like especially sad because they always talk about how like the kids just don't really have like that stable role model because the teachers they cycle through so quickly, and they landed on Torfun, who was there for a long time, and they thought that she'd be there a lot longer, and then she tragically died, and now they thought he would be there for longer, but now he's leaving, so it's like really emotional for everyone. And Poopa, he doesn't come to say goodbye. This killed me. He watches the car leave from the cliff instead, but like, Tien doesn't know that. But in while on his way back to Bangkok, he looks at Torfin's journal and there's a new passage. And it was written by Poopa. And in the journal, Poopa had written what Torfin's wish was. He said that her wish was for Poopa to meet someone who he can love wholeheartedly. And I know. And he said it doesn't matter that Tien never finished counting the stars because he already made her wish come true. I know, right? That's how I feel too. It's so sweet. Like, all these people are just like, oh my god, Torfun especially. Like, could you imagine loving someone so much that you're like, yeah, I know you don't love me back, but I want you to like love someone and be happy. So, that killed me. So Tien returns home. He's now living his life for his own sake. He's being more responsible, less spoiled, and he's writing letters to Poopa, but none of them ever get returned. Like, give us something, anything, man. Like, so Tien's not sure what to do next. He never like had a plan because he like didn't think he'd live this long, which I feel like is like so real. I think that kind of adds to his impulsive personality because he probably for a while grew up just thinking, well, I don't have to think about the long-term consequences because like I don't have a long-term. So that's probably why he's the way he is. But eventually he decides he's going to go back to school, but instead of studying engineering, he's going to study to be a teacher instead. Yeah. And his mom agrees, but she's like on the condition that you have to go to the US to study. Which is interesting because I don't know if the US is really known for their education system. But why not?
Seems a trend in a lot of these shows, though. If they go overseas, they usually go to the US.
Yeah. I mean, I guess. Why not? Study abroad. That's cool. But
Yeah.
he doesn't really want to go, but his parents are kind of like, you have to.
This is the only way we'll let you get a teaching degree.
Yeah.
Which I know part of this is culture and part of this is rich people, and why it's just beyond me. Because I can tell you right now, if my mother ever tried to tell me what degree to get, I would have just laughed at her.
Yeah. It's definitely very cultural, I feel.
Yeah.
Also, if your parents are paying for a degree in the US, bro, that's so much money.
Like, yeah. I mean, I guess that was probably a part of it. It was because my parents didn't pay for my degree, so it was on me.
Yeah, right.
But yeah. Like, luckily, I got a degree my mom was fine with, so we didn't butt heads on it. But like,
Yeah.
she wouldn't have talked me out of it.
Yeah, if my parents were going to pay for my degree, I maybe would have listened to them a bit more. But
Yeah,
if it was up to my mom, I'd be a lawyer by now, but she didn't pay for my degree, so
yeah,
I
because
didn't I didn't become a lawyer.
my struggle with having to like listen to your parents for a degree is like that's the rest of your life. You know, like that's what
Yeah.
like I mean, yeah, sure you can go to school and get another job, or honestly nowadays it's as long as you have a degree, there's a little bit more flexibility in job, but like I just
Mhm.
I can't imagine like I got a STEM degree, right? I can't imagine being forced into this and then having to do this every day and hating it.
Oh my
Um
god. I would
like
have failed out so hard if I had to get a STEM degree.
yeah, it was not easy. There was a lot of alcohol involved.
Yeah.
Not partying, just numbing.
Oh no. That's worse somehow.
Yeah.
Mm.
That was we would have weekly meetups with our professors at the bar while we would all just kind of drown our sorrows in beer.
Mm. Hey, women in STEM, you know,
Yeah.
gotta do what you gotta do. So, yeah, he before he leaves for the US though, he gets a wedding invite and it's from Moore. Moore and his fiance are finally getting married. And so this killed me too.
So
So,
mad.
I know. So, he goes to the wedding and he knows that Poopa's going to be there too cuz in the invite Moore was like, "Oh, there's someone who wants to see you," which is a lie.
Yeah.
But like Poopa's there like first and he ends up like leaving early and so by the time Tien is there, Poopa's gone and he's very disappointed, but like at least he gets to see like some of the other rangers and stuff. But then we see that like Poopa was there still. He was of course just watching from the corner of the room, just observing Tien.
Yeah. Just go say hi, dude.
I know.
Come on.
Like I was so devastated at this point because I'm like, okay, there's like 10 minutes of the show left. Like, fuck, we're running out of time, people. um, and so it's time for him to leave to go to the U.S. and mom, dad, and Tull, they're all at the airport to see him off, and he's like starts to walk to security and Poopa shows up finally for once. And they like cry and they hug for a while, for a long while. And like Poopa gives him like a forehead kiss. And his mom is just like clutching her pearls. Like she literally asked, she's like, "Who is this man?"
So that's who took care of her son for a few months.
Yeah, exactly.
And Tool's
I
like,
just
yeah,
think
I didn't know this was happening.
no, I think it's so yeah. Toll's just like, oh, this is my first time seeing him too, but it's just like funny because like, mom doesn't know this man, doesn't know her son's gay either, so she. It's just like it's such a funny introduction, but
Yeah. And they
yeah,
don't even get a real introduction, right? Because then he just walks away.
I probably yeah. Yeah, eventually like because they're like hugging and stuff, and Tull's like, Tien, like you gotta go. You're gonna miss your flight. Like, yeah. So I'm finally at least Poopa sees him again.
Yeah.
Um,
I guess it took him
because
going, this is my last letter. Um,
yeah, yes, literally, like like bro, Tien's like gonna give up on you because you're
yeah,
giving him nothing.
right? Come on.
You're lucky he knows you so well. Otherwise, like, yeah, most
Hmm.
people wouldn't stick this out.
No.
So it's 2 years later. The new volunteer teacher is arriving in the village, and the rangers, they get like a red alert on the mountain. So like Poopa like runs up there to the cliff like with his gun, and oh wait, It's just Tien. The Rangers are just like pranking him kind of cuz Tien's back and he's back for good this time.
So dramatic.
Yeah, so dramatic. But of course that's such like a Ranger way to like surprise him, I feel.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. And so yeah, he's like, "Hi, I'm the new volunteer teacher."
Please take care of me.
Yeah. And like Pupa finally accepts him and they finally kiss. Yay.
Yay! Finally.
Finally.
They
Ah.
also bury Torfun's book,
Yes.
so they
Yes.
put closure to all of that.
Yes. Very important.
Hmm.
Um and then so that's like the ending, but then we have a little epilogue and it's just cute and silly. um Tien like makes Pupa do like Eggyo to go sleep in bed with him. And then he's like, just sleep? Question mark. And apparently they're like rocking the bed so hard it's like shaking the whole house. And so like another ranger runs up. He's like, oh my god, like are you guys okay? Like the house is shaking. And they just like say nothing. They just like stay silent. And then eventually he's just like, I think it might be like Yod or something, but he's just like, oh, I see what's happening. And just like leaves. But yeah, it's a perfect ending. It's such a cute epilogue. And that's A Tale of a Thousand Stars.
So good.
I feel like I lived 8 lives throughout
Yeah.
this retelling. Like, I genuinely, like, this show's so fucking good. I'm like speechless by how good it is.
I do love this one a lot. It holds
Yeah.
up for being 4 years old, which is a lot in BL.
Yeah.
It 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 didn't have. It was honest. It's such a unique story, to be honest,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like it doesn't have a lot of the cliches, um, and like it does have quite a bit of the like the ads in there because there's like some like mix something like
It's like snacks.
snack mix, yeah.
Yeah.
That's a reoccurring one. And then there's like the face wash one that pops up, but like
Oh, yeah.
they're really not that bad for what they are, right? Like
Yeah.
it flows well within the story. Um,
And I think the story itself is pretty
it.
airtight.
Mm-hmm.
Like, in terms of writing, I think this is definitely by far the best BL.
Yeah.
Like, not so the overall story like is very planned out start to finish, but also I love how each episode has its own little circular event within like inside of it.
Mm.
Like the one where like even the small things from when they were like beginning of the episode they were asking more things about each other, and then at the end of the episode it closes with them asking each other these things, so it's like full circle. Like just like a lot of the episodes are just very like they have like some sort of theme or event that starts and closes within this greater story, and I think it's just kind of perfection, honestly.
Yeah, it's good. It's flawed characters, but in a way where the characters like still make sense, right? Like as much as we
Mm-hmm.
ragged on like Tien for being dumb, like
Yeah.
it makes sense for his character to be dumb in specifically those ways.
Yes. And
Um,
I love his character.
no, for
Like,
sure. Like he's great.
yeah. I love that he's just like slightly a bitch, but like in a good way.
Yeah.
um
So
yeah, I just yeah, I
this
just really I love it. Like,
this this is Pete Off's work, so it's no surprise that it's
yes.
good. To be honest,
Yeah.
he
Maybe
directed.
this is my favorite Thai
Yeah.
BL, to be honest. Maybe it is. It's like it's hard to like compare and stuff, but man, I feel like I could watch this like 100 times.
Yeah, this is definitely one I could watch a few times and not get bored with it.
Yeah. It's definitely one I think if I was to recommend someone to watch a Thai BL for the first time, this is probably the one I would recommend.
This is a good choice. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I think it's pretty accessible. Like, it's nothing too crazy, and it's just like really well done. So,
Yeah.
It is very, very slow burn, you know? Is like the
Yeah.
one thing that people might not like. But if they're not used to like the new BLs now where like people are doing all sorts of things like on episode 1, like I think they might not mind like the slow burn.
Yeah, because I mean it's slow burn, but there's so much else going on because it's the
Mhm.
relationships with the villagers and
Yes.
everything else too.
It's never boring.
No.
I love going over like the older shows too, like being able to
Mhm.
revisit them and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting since I've only been watching BL for like a little over a year now.
Mhm.
Um, maybe like a year and a half. It's one of those I'm like, even though like these are older, I'm like, for the most part, they're all still new to me.
Yeah, right.
But but it is nice to see the difference between something from like the 2021 or so and now.
Mhm.
Because even just like two totally different shows, but even just looking at this and Osan's Love, which is also EarthMix, is a whole different vibe. Um,
Yeah, and well also
and
at
then
the time too, it was like pretty much only college themed
yeah.
BLs had ever been made in Thailand. Like school themed in general. Like I feel
Mm-hmm.
like, you know, this was
Yeah.
pretty revolutionary in terms of just like the concept itself and like the story and the setting and all that.
You mean we can have stories that aren't in a classroom?
Yeah. Who would have guessed?
Yeah, amazing.
I mean, well, I guess they still were in a classroom, but it was a
Oh,
very
yeah.
different classroom.
Yeah. All right. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed us talking about A Tale of a Thousand Stars. You can find us in our usual spots on the social media on Instagram and TikTok at bl.in.the.air, um, on Twitter at bl in the air. We're also on Discord. You can find the links to all of that in our link tree. We're also streaming video on Spotify and YouTube and audio only everywhere else. So you can watch or listen where you feel like. And we'll catch you next week. Bye.
Bye.